श्री गोसाई जी परम दयालवे नमः। श्री गुरवे नमः। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेष्वभिघ्नस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदायादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मप्रोदितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वर सद्योरुद्यवरुध्यते च कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात्। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। चिन्तासन्तानहन्तारो यत्पादाम्बुजरेणव स्वीयानां तान् निजाचार्यान् प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। यदनुग्रहतो जन्तुः सर्वदुःखातिगो भवेत् तमहं सर्वदा वंदे श्रीमद्वल्लभनंदनम। કેટલા લોકોને મંગલાચરણ આવડે છે? તો બોલો ને, ગુનો કર્યો જ કઈ? અજ્ઞાનતિમિરાંધસ્ય જ્ઞાનાંજનશલાકયા ચક્ષુરુન્મીલિतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमामि हृदये शेषे लीलाक्षीराब्धिशायिनं लक्ष्मीसहस्रलीलाभिः सेव्यमानं कलानिधिं। चतुर्विश्च 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 त्रिभिस्तथा षड्भिर्विराजते योऽसौ पञ्चधा हृदये मम। श्रीकृष्णं परमानन्दं दशलीलायुतं सदा सर्वभक्तसमुद्धारे विस्फुरन्तं परं नुमः। नमो भगवते तस्मै कृष्णायाद्भुतकर्मणे रूपनाम विभेदेन जगत्क्रीडति यो यतः। बुद्धिप्रेरककृष्णस्य पादपद्मं प्रसीदतु ध्यानासमर्थजीवानाम् अस्माकं सर्वदा स्वतः। श्री गोवर्धननाथ की गिरिराज धरण की जय। कंस मामा की નથી બોલવાની પણ કંસ મામાને જઈને બોલાય. No, I was not expecting an answer. Katha doesn't start when I start speaking English. Katha starts the minute I start speaking Sanskrit, by the way. So this is not your trial run wherein you settle down, you make yourself comfortable with the environment. It doesn't work that way. No, अरे वो ना हो यार. I am not a country that starts with A and ends with N who only whitewashes everyone. जियो और जीने दो. What is the arrangement that we had about Bhagavan's name? If I says Bhagavan's name, what are you supposed to say behind it? કર્યો જ નાસ્તો? ચા પાણી કર્યા છે? કર્યા છે ને? So if I say Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki, what are you supposed to say? So I'm just going to try it again to see if you can cope up with the speed of the instruction or not. Shri Govardhan Nath Ki, श्री गिरिराज धरण की, श्याम सुंदर श्री यमुने महारानी जी की, श्री वल्लभाधीश की. Don't say it forcefully, at least say it with enthusiasm. और punishment મૂકી દીધી હોય ને, it sometimes feels like that. I'm not. Why am I insisting you to say on it? I'll give you a reason behind it. Yesterday, when we were listening to importance of Śrīmad Bhagavad G, in the importance of Śrīmad Bhagavad G, there are two words which have been mentioned: Jaya and Namaha. Whenever the Vakta says something and you could relate to it. So, Sanskrit has given two very good terms. The first one is Jaya. So, a lot of devotees land up speaking Jai Ho when they find something relatable, when they find something wow, when they find something, oh nah, this touched my heart. They land up speaking Jai Ho. And sometimes devotees, when they have this emotion of, no, I want to bow down to Thakurji because of his Leela. Sometimes when we say Namaha, Numaha, Namami, etc., at that time generally we'll end up joining our hands. Similarly, Namaha, Namaha is also being said by a lot of these devotees. So these are not just attention-seeking words which are spoken by the Shrotas while listening to the Katha. This is like a positive affirmation given by the Shrota, stating that whatever you're talking, it's making sense to me and it's somehow impacting me, and it is creating an impact in me. Yesterday there was a question, who is Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya? And I'd like to answer that question in a slightly elaborative format today. 2000 years ago, there was quite popular Dharma which had spread, which didn't quite align with the Hindu principles and thought processes. But some similarities were there, a lot of differences were also there. And that religion or the faith was known as Buddhism. Irony of life that Buddha is considered to be an avatar of Vishnu, but the philosophy of Buddha is not accepted by Hindus. Why is it so? There's a detailed thought process behind that as well. We'll cover someday later. But the entire country was, if I'm not wrong, Ashoka was the king at that time. And the entire nation was focused upon this one thought: Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. This was the ideology. And despite Buddhism claiming that we will stay as one united unit, it didn't happen that way. The minute Sri Gautam Buddha reached the divine abode, or the moksha, or the Kaivalya Dham, in whatever terminology they say, immediately there were bifurcations in their religion as well. Some people had problems against the practices of women, some people were not happy with the practices of men, so on and so forth. In that era came an Acharya who was considered to be an avatar of Shankar himself, and that Acharya is called as Shankaracharya. Now, how do I define an Acharya? I cannot define an Acharya by merely translating it as a teacher. Reason being, whatever philosophy he propounds, he also lives that, embodies that philosophy, not just guides you with the principles, learns those principles himself and then proposes them to you or propagates them to you. Shankaracharya lived for only 32 years, but he was the first one of those acharyas who had traveled, born in Kerala, gone to the north, gone to the east, gone to the west, gone to the south, established 4 mutts. And I won't deny by saying that the early son of Advait Vedant was Shankaracharya. Now, what's his philosophy all about? He is not someone who gets married and has children and produces lineage further to take this philosophy forward. He believes in a tradition of Guru and Shishya. The Guru chooses a Shishya, Shishya studies with the Guru. After the Guru reaches the divine abode, amongst the many Shishyas that he has chosen one of them to take his seat. That's how the Guru Shishya Parampara has always been in Shankaracharya's case. Similar to Shankaracharya, A contemporary Acharya that came was Madhva. Your so-called ISKCON currently is one of the branches of the Madhva Sampradaya. Now, what's a Sampradaya? Sampradaya is nothing but a common belief, a common Acharya, a common Swarup, a common pattern of entering it, common rules of implementation, a common lifestyle. Something that binds you with a belief, ideally is known as a Sampradaya. In our case, our binding factor is Śrīmad Ji, who introduced us to Śrīmad Ji is Mahaprabhuji, also known as Vallabhacharya. The binding principle for us is to do Seva of Thakurji. The entry point of getting into Pushti Marg is to getting Brahma Sambandham. People at least who have Kanthi will understand that part. And the common belief is something that we are trying to listen since yesterday, that Krishna is the supreme and we need to serve him. Sounds a little similar to what ISKCON believes, but yeah, there is fundamental difference between both of us as well. So after Shankaracharya came Madhva, then you had Nimbark and Ramanuj, and then you had Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya, who had incarnated as Krishna himself, or as the form of Agni, that's the holy fire. Now, all the prior Acharyas did a lot of work for philosophy, right? Shankaracharya primarily walked on the path of realization. Gnyan Marg was one of the preferred marks. We spoke about Gnyan yesterday, if you all remember. And by the way, I'd given you some homework. Did you get a chance to do it? Class teacher, na? So I had to catch hold of her first. Homework done? Some people don't even remember what is the homework. How many of you don't remember what is the homework? Very good. People who remember what is the homework, what is the homework? Correct. So did you find an answer?
Well, I'm a homemaker, so
Lucky you. Yeah, sure. Fair. Makes sense.
every day do some prasadam at 12 months.
Makes sense. Makes sense. શું આજ્ઞા આવી છે? It's fun. Anyway, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I cook, I mean, whatever every day. Mangala, we start with Mangala, then we do Rajko, then we do Singh.
Sure. Fair. Makes sense. Okay. You still have time to figure out the question. If you haven't understood the question, go ask her what is the question. She'll answer you. I'm not going to remind you what the homework was, but thank you for thinking on it. So here comes an Acharya who is worried about establishing a relationship with sugar. नीचे करानो ऊपर करानो શું કરવાનું છે વાયર બહુ સરસ ઇન્સ્ટ્રક્શન આવ્યું છે અચ્છા ઓકે ઠીક છે no problem. Here comes an Acharya whose primary worry was to create a connection between you and the divine. The primary worry was to create a connection between you and the divine. See, very limited sampradayas allow you to touch the divine so openly, so often, on a daily basis. A lot of them expect you to go to a temple and do something. Mahaprabhuji's philosophy is slightly different. Now, look at the political scenario 500 years ago when there was a so-called Badshah who was ruling the country, who historically is being shown that he was very favorable of women, who is fashionably shown in movies like Jodha / something, where he is the Masiha of the Hindu community and he was the one who declined on the taxes and what and what not. If you read his history closely, you will realize he was not as friendly as it claims to be. Now, when political scenarios were not safe, women were not safe, at that time comes an Acharya who thinks of the long term and even establishes a practice of engaging with Krishna at home itself. Instead of you trying to find peace outside, why don't you build your relation with the Thakurji inside? A lot of people have this belief कि मंदिर ना ठाकुर जी अलग हो या ना हमारा घर ना ठाकुर जी अलग हो. This common myth was something that Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya discarded, stating the one that is incarnated at Yashoda's house, the one who's playing at Yashoda's house, is the same one who's residing in your own house. There's no difference in them. And the beauty about it, each one of you get one. Each house gets its own Thakurji, and you get a chance to serve that Thakurji. You get a chance to make a relation with that Thakurji. You get a chance to engage with him. You get a chance to do his seva. You get a chance to make him ready in the morning by doing his shringar. You get a chance to cook for him. You get a chance to make him sleep. The way you take care of your own baby is one of the same ways how you take care of Thakurji. What happens when your Thakurji becomes elder? You play with him. You let him go and play with his friends as well at the same time. You make arrangements for Thakurji so that he can also relish the offerings that you are giving to him at the same time. So this is the role of an Acharya, that apart from proposing philosophy, has a set ritualistic approach in the place with spiritual backing. Where's my friend? We spoke about it last night. And this very same Acharya has now interpreted Bhagwat Gita in 7 parts. Now please make a note of it. No other scholar / religious leader / philosopher has ever got a chance to interpret one scripture in 7 parts, and that too they conclude in the same way. Now what do I mean by 7 parts and still meaning the same thing? Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita, the red granth that you see right now, it's in pure Sanskrit, right? In order to elaborate on the 18,000 shloks of this grantha, of this beautiful Bhagavat, Mahaprabhuji wrote 2 different scriptures. In 2 different scriptures, he went in that detailing of a chapter, sub-chapter, group of sub-chapters, and the whole scripture itself. Like, I'll give you an example. If you ask me what is the definition of Bhagavat in one statement, in one sentence, I'll tell you, Anandasya Harer Leela. Now what does Anandasya Harer Leela mean? Anandasya refers to Bhagavan himself. His own Leela, Harer Leela, Hari's Leela. The blissful form of Thakurji's Leela. This is what Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita is. And bliss is something we understood yesterday. We spoke about Bhagavan having 3 terms. What are those 3 terms, if you remember? Sat, Chit, Ananda. So that Ananda, Bhagavan Shri Krishna was the form of Ananda. His own Leela is Śrīmad Bhagavat. This one-liner definition is given by Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya. The second part that you need to know, why so much importance in Vaishnav's house primarily. And mind you, I'm not just talking about Pushtimargya Vaishnavas. There are a couple of South Indian communities as well, Ramanuj being one of them, who have importance of Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita in their houses. They listen to Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita's Katha. And even they have English speakers. Frankly speaking, they have more English speakers than Pushtimarg has. So even they have importance of Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. But now I'll give you a perspective that Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya gives us. Have you all heard of Gayatri Mantra? Should you recite it? Should you recite it or not? Cool. We'll speak about that in like half an hour from now. Okay? We'll speak about that in half an hour from now. So Gayatri is one seed. Look, just try visualizing this, okay? You're blessed with beauty in Dubai. Let's say there's a beautiful park. There's a beautiful land covered with grass. And there's one seed called as Gayatri which is being sowed. And after years of nurturing of that seed comes one entire tree which is called Ved. So if Gayatri is the seed, Ved is the tree. And on the branches of that tree, there's a fruit called as Śrīmad Bhagavat. there's a fruit called as Śrīmad Bhagavat, and that fruit is made accessible to all of us. If you go 500 years back, 300 years back, 200 years back, society was slightly different. The Vedic accessibility to women was not there. And all the 5 Acharyas that came by definitely made alternatives for people who were deprived of the Vedic thought processes. Mind you, it started with Vyasa himself, whom we'll be speaking about in the next 5 minutes from now. So, a lot of people feel that religion has always been biased towards men and not thought enough for women. Well, actually, let me be very honest with you. Women have been excused with most of the rituals that men do. And the best part, when your equal half won't call better half anymore, when your equal half is doing all the rituals for the family, you get 50% credit of all the activity that he has done. Good or bad? Good for her. Good for her, definitely good for her. And that's why women are excused from most of the rituals. And mind you, if you feel that Shastra looks down upon you, then let me tell you one thing. A yagna is incomplete without women. There's a difference between a home and a yagna. A home happens at a smaller scale and smaller level. For that, even if you're not married, you can still end up doing home. But when we talk about advanced level of yagnas, if you remember, Ramchandraji had to instate Sitaji's murti for finishing the yagna. If you have to do a bigger yagna, you need your equal half partner along. હવે તમારા વગર યજ્ઞ નથી થતો. On what basis are you saying that women have been looked down upon? This is a role of an Acharya to give you a perspective, to make you realize the importance of the things. And mind you, Mahaprabhuji's incarnation is only meant for explaining you Śrīmad Bhāgavad Gita in an expanded format. The reason why I was asking you about Gayatri Mantra, there's this one shlok over here. I'll give you the translation as well. I'll preferably read because it was too huge to be fit in a slide. This shlok is the first shlok of Śrīmad Bhāgavad Gita. We are now entering Adhikar Leela, which is Prathama Skand of Sri Thakurji, which happens to be the lotus feet of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, Srinathji. So when we read this particular shlok, on a mere translation basis, you'll feel like, okay, realization of the absolute truth, meditation upon the absolute truth, Satyam Param Dhimai, you are supposed to meditate upon the ultimate reality, ultimate truth. However, you need a guru, you need an Acharya to give you a perspective of how this first shlok and Gayatri Mantra are equivalent of each other. Over here, in this particular first shlok, this is going to serve like the fundamental base for entire Śrīmad Bhāgavad Gita. And the entire Adhyaya refers to a subchapter. The way you have Adhyaya in Gita, you have Adhyaya in Bhagavad as well. There are 335 Adhyayas that we are supposed to cover it up in the next 6 days. So, this first Adhyaya serves to be the Prashna Adhyaya. Now, what does a Prashna mean? Prashna refers to questions. In this particular Adhyaya, two parties will be asking questions to each other, which will serve as the base for answers towards the future. So, let's say 335 Adhyayas are there. First Adhyaya will behave like a question. 334 Adhyayas will behave like answers. Along with understanding chapters, sub-chapters, group of chapters or the entire scripture, Mahaprabhuji went a step further. He landed up explaining the shlok, part of the shlok and even letter of the shlok. What you see on the screen in Sanskrit is called the shlok. If I take one term out of it, which is the first one, for example, Janmadhyasya, that is considered to be a part of the shlok. And let's say if I take the first akshar only, which is the ja, that is considered to be the akshar, letter. Now, just imagine this. Someone 550 years or 545 years ago has gone till that extent that has tried to explain shlok, part of shlok, letter of shlok, wherever essential. And mind you, you go to any other sampradaya, they might not have as elaborated format of explanations the way we have. And that is why it said that if you want to understand the essence of Śrīmad Bhagavat, some or the other way you'll have to come back to this path of grace only. Because translations will give you an entry, but the deeper meaning is going to give you elevation. Anyway, I'm not going to tense you further. All of you are so lost in this deep conversation. Let's bring you back. And let's talk about a slightly easier topic, which is called Dharma. You've heard this term enough times. What does Dharma mean? ભાષાંતરમાં જવાબ નથી એટલે એને ટ્રાન્સલેશનને વાંચવા નહીં બેસો. My question is, what does dharma mean to you? What is dharma according to you? મારા કાન થોડા સરવા છે. કર્તવ્ય, sure, duty. Am I at the right address? This is where Bhagavad Sapta is supposed to be, right? What happened to all of you? Sleepy? Feeling cold? Feeling lost? Feeling heavy? Say something.
Ethical path.
Ethical path, sure. Hi, tell me, what's up? You feeling cold? एक चादर आपो प्लीज. कम से कम जवाब तो आपियो. What does dharma mean to you? A very simple question. Do the right thing. Responsibility. Is dharma religion? Dharma is not religion, that's for sure. And I'll give you an example how. I can slightly guide you in this space because I have some expertise. I'm not saying I'm a great expert at it. Religion comes, you've heard of a term called as etymology, right? I come from an SSC school. We didn't have such fancy dictionaries. State board school. So etymology, as per my understanding, is the root word. Religion comes from the root of religare. And religare kinda means to reunite. Religion comes from religare, and religare ideally means to reunite. Reunite is the theme. Dharma doesn't mean to reunite. Dharma doesn't mean to reunite. Dharma means something that you can adorn. You can carry it with yourself. And yet, it's not physically visible to you, but you can feel the essence of it. Something that you don't carry physically, but you still feel the essence of it. I'll give you a very simple example if you want to understand Dharma. Air. You can't carry air physically with yourself. But if you stand in front of a fan or if you stand under an AC, you can definitely get the feel and a sense of it that the air exists. Same thing is with Dharma. Dharma is something that you carry with you, but it's not physically present, but you can definitely feel the essence of it. I'll give you an example how. Has it ever happened with you when your gut or your intuition is saying something is not right? that comes under the alignment of Dharma. Your antaratma, your inner self is guiding you that something is not going in the right direction. Second thing, so this was you more on the intuition side. Let's talk about you more on the courtesy side of it. Let's say if you find a person in need, does your heart or inner feeling say to help them out? Again, a part of your dharma. Without any expectation, you are still trying to make the most out of it by helping that person, part of your dharma. Some of you said kartavya. Raising a child is a kartavya. Taking care of parents, kartavya. Schooling someone who is not being well, kartavya. Feeding the needy, kartavya. Earning for the family, kartavya. Taking care of the family, kartavya. There was one very good question that had come in the Q&A space. I am a housewife. I don't earn. I take care of my children. I take care of my family. I take care of my elders. People don't treat me with respect. It hurt while reading that. It definitely hurt while reading that. We are talking about a society which is progressive in nature, which wants women to go out and work. But at the same time, we don't have the right to judge a woman who has made a choice of taking care of the house. If you are judging a woman who is devoting her life to the family, are you trying to say you are judging Draupadi to make her choices? Now I'll give you a background about Draupadi. Draupadi ji had more than 10,000 households. 10,000. And she knew everyone's name memorized. She could personally address those 10,000 people. Do you think the current CEO of a company would remember 10,000 names of his employees? Practically. Tell me yes or no. No. Second, you look down upon Draupadi. I'll give you one more space where you should start looking upon her. She was responsible for the entire financial management of all the wealth that Pandavas earned and brought. Pandavas were not taking care of their own money. Draupadi was responsible for it. Third situation. We might have Chandi ke patra, Sone ke patra. For Draupadi ji's place, she had numerous number of utensils which were just made of Sone and Chandi. And she was responsible for that as well. Now, if I ask you to calculate 1 kg of gold and the value against it, you'll treat it very dearly. Draupadi ji used to handle it casually. And her story we'll be covering in like some 10 minutes from now. This dharma of a woman who chooses to nurture the family. And that's why our Sanskrit says Gruhini Gruhamuchyate. Gruhini means someone, Gruhamuchyate. A house is considered to be a house. When there is a Gruhini, that means there's a wife in it. So anyone who has this sentiment of feeling of you are being treated this way, the message needs to go loud and clear. There's no amount of salary is worth that can be given to you for your contribution towards the house. And in the words of Sri Krishna Shankar Shastriji, who was one Vibhuti back in the years, he said that you make 7 mountains worth of gold and offer it to your mother and father, still you won't be in a situation to be able to repay what they have done for you. 7 ડોંગરના પર્વત પણ 7 પર્વત બનાવશો ને સોનાના તોય તમે એમના ઋણમાંથી મુક્ત નહીં થાઓ. આવી આજ્ઞા કરતા હતા. So come out of the space of judging or having tax for, for housewives who are thinking this way, and come out of that zone that you're treating yourself down, dedicate your life to Bhagavan Shri Krishna, you will see your life changing altogether. And the essence of Dharma that you all are saying now, Dharma, the beauty about Dharma is contextual in nature. It changes. Dharma that is implemented in the house is not the same Dharma that needs to be implemented outside. Dharma that is implemented at a warfare is not the same Dharma that has to be implemented at a tirtha. Dharma that is implemented at the school is not the same Dharma which is implemented in the kitchen. Dharma that is implemented between a husband and a wife is not the same Dharma which is implemented between the friends. Anything that you do comes under the purview of Dharma. Unlike today, when Dharma is a part of it, Dharma is another element in our life, and rest everything else has taken over. So for example, waking up in the morning and taking a bath was a part of Dharma. Now what have we done? 7 reasons why you should take a cold shower in the morning. And some wannabe influencer on Instagram will tell you 7 reasons why you should take a cold shower in the morning. Oh, hello. My Dharma Shastra said that 500,000, 2,000, 10,000 years ago. Shut up, I don't want to hear you. 6 reasons why you should apply mitti on your face. Arey, shut up. We know that already. We heard of Multani mitti enough. I'm in a Sindhi family right now. 3 reasons why you should wake up between 3:30 and 4:30 to feel the best energy. As these Pandits, they've studied Brahma Murte Utthaya. You should wake up in the Brahma Murat and do meditation. It's all with us. It's just that we don't value it. Pay some $1,500 and $2,000 to some Western pseudo influencer who might have studied that, come up with a program. Why? Because it is packaged for you in a way. It's just like me telling you haldi ka doodh and you listening turmeric latte. Dharma is as simple as it is. And I'll give you one fine example of Dharma. Ramchandraji didn't even question what his father was asking. Ramchandraji just did it at the next moment. He was said, go to the forest, done. Am I sad? No. You asked me, I'll do it. Does that mean you should listen to everything? Here, there's a difference in context. There was a decision taken by the mother and the father. And there have been instances where a son and a father has had discussions about some other things as well. We need to understand the context of Dharma and then apply the principle. Don't apply the principle and then find the context. And now, since we are trying to distribute this fruit of Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita, how many of you have got a chance to go to Giriraj Ji? All of you? Most of you? Good. Lovely. While visiting Giriraj Ji, have you ever got a chance to even distribute fruits to the monkeys who come by? Or the cows who come over there? Yeah? If you have, great. If you haven't, probably next time when you go there, please make the most out of it. Why am I telling you this? I'm going to draw your attention towards a small picture over here on the screen. What do you see? You see a parrot? Do you see a fruit? Forgot the code word? Yes. Thank you. See, you made me smile. It's not that difficult to make people smile. Why am I talking about this right now? To give you context, the parrot that you see is representing someone called as Shukdev G. The fruit that you see is Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. Next time when you go to Giriraj Ji, see, you may not be able to do this in Dubai, but I'm certain you'll be able to do this if you go to India. Whenever a fruit seller comes next time, and if he's selling guava or a mango, ask him, पोपट वाला है क्या? What do I mean by पोपट वाला है क्या? A parrot ideally has a habit of biting or taking a small piece of a fruit, and that fruit is generally priced 3 times than the regular one. Do you know why? Thank you, because it is the sweetest. It is sweeter than the regular ones. And that same analogy is here. Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji. But it became even further sweeter. Why? Because Shukdev Ji Maharaj is the one who had a piece of it, and he's the one who narrated it to us. See, there's a difference between a katha which is done in the memory of someone, and there's a difference in the katha which is done for the people who are present over here. When katha is done in someone's memory now, we have to rush through the entire grantha. I have to take a super fast express jet from one skand to the other, skand 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and my speed is extremely high. Here I'm just not getting the speed. Why? Because we have a commitment to finish the entire Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji as a katha when it comes to ancestors. But when it comes to people who are alive and they have done it for their own presence, for their own blessings, it becomes easier. You can narrate it at speed that you want to, and you can still communicate the thoughts that you need to. And mind you, never ever the katha is same in different locations. It changes depending on the crowd. My elders used to explain this in katha. Your explanations will be dependent on the people who are listening to you. And mind you, you are not the first listener of this katha. The first listener of the katha is sitting right in front of you. That's the same discussion I was having with Yogini Ben as well. That the kirtan that you are reciting is not for the people. Your voice is being served to Bhagavad Ji first, and then everyone else is listening to it. So before I commit to you, my first commitment is towards Śrīmad Bhagavad. So sometimes things you may not understand, but remember one thing, there's someone above you who's trying to understand this. And mind you, this is a kalpa vruksha, as I said earlier. You will at least, I'm not certain if you will be able to understand the entire katha, but I'm certain about one thing. Even if you find that one statement worthy for you, and these next 6 days, if you find one statement every day, I think you've done a good job of listening to the katha. And if you change your life because of that, my. Nothing better than that. The way you are peacefully listening over here, in the next slide I'll show you 2 individuals, one on this side and one on that side. That side is Shaunak Rishi, as I had mentioned earlier, who had 88,000 students under him. And on the left side is Sut Maharshi, who is the expert narrator of Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji. And you can see a lot of Rishi Munis sitting around and they're listening to Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji. Now, when a university vice chancellor calls upon someone, the person has to be worthy enough to be invited. Shaunak Rishi is a worthy person, and at the same time he's inviting Suta Maharshi. Why? Because Suta Ji has been someone who has studied the Dharma Shastra. And because he has studied the Dharma Shastra, he is in a space where he can comment on the various aspects of Dharma Shastra. Someone who is well versed in the scriptures will be in a position to even speak about it. And that's why even Suta Maharshi has been extolled. And you can see over here, the statement is Tvaya Khalu Puranani Seti Hasani Chanaga Akhyatyannya Praditani Dharma Shastrani Yanyuta. Dharma Shastrani. You can read the translation for you. That will make your life easier. Sut Maharshi Ji has been extolled and has been recognized over here, not just because he knows Dharma Shastra. Second, a small area where he has gained that more respect is because he has learnt it from Sri Shukdev G Maharaj as well. Certain years ago, when there were no WhatsApps, the Vaktas used to get chittis, messages on papers. Now instead of getting chittis, we get small mics. Yesterday we were speaking a little about how Kalyug is right now. Have you heard of the word called as manda? Do you know what is mand? Slow. Have you heard the word man buddhi? Buddhi means intellect. What does manda mean there? Savdhan. सावधान रहे, सतर्क रहे. What does manda mean? Lethargy. Okay. Slow. Yes. In Kalyug, now look at the words that have been utilized. Mandaha, people have become manda. Sumanda matayo, matlab this has become manda. Manda bhagya, मेरा बैड लक ही खराब है. And Yupadhrutaha refers to people having a lot of medical conditions. People having a lot of medical conditions, right? In Shastra, it is said that if you don't have any diseases, consider yourself to be the happiest person on this planet. There are 6 sukh that has been mentioned in the Shastra. One of them is when you don't have any diseases in you. Now, people who don't have disease, please don't start thinking, Marama disease kem na thi. Don't create a disease when you don't have one. Please make a note of that. And in this particular adhyay, there's one question that comes in mind of the rishis that are asking questions. They ask, how can a jeev achieve that supreme? What is the ultimate goal for the jiva? Jiva refers to your soul. Along with these two, there are 4 more questions that they ask. And one of the question is, how many avatars has the Bhagavan taken? How many avatars has Bhagavan taken? Knock, knock. Who's this? How many avatars has Bhagavan taken? Okay, I'll rephrase my question. How many avatars has Bhagavan taken / going to take? 10 अवतार સુધી તો પહોંચી ગયા, વાંધો નથી. Good. Okay. ચલો. Good. Is it only 10? That's the common narrative that you have heard in your childhood, na? Vishnu na 10 avatar, and then there's a flow, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, so on and so forth. That's how you have learned it, right? And in that, it might have said that Vishnu takes an avatar of Krishna. Yes. Yes? Fantastic. Dashavatar is a popular concept, but it's not the only concept. What did I say? Dashavatar is a popular concept, but is it the only concept? No. So how will we learn more about it? In the next 2 adhyayas, Sut Maharshi will start answering these questions, and before he answers this question, he will first remember his guru. The picture that you see right now is of Shukdev G. His story will come, his Katha will come just now. Shukdev Ji Maharaj is considered as Guru over here. He is remembering his Guru. Do you know any slok about Guru? Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat, Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri. Tasmai Shri? It's actually Gurave Namaha. It's not Guruve Namaha, it's Gurave Namaha. Gurave Namaha. The way you treat a guru as Brahma, as Vishnu, as Mahesha, as Sakshat Parabrahma, and that guru you are praying to, Sri Sut Maharshi Ji has treated Shukdev Ji Maharaj as his guru because he has learned the scriptures from Shukdev Ji Maharaj. Now comes the question. What happens when you listen to Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji? What is the benefit? This was one question that was asked in the live, the chat as well that was sent to all of you, where you could list down all your questions. So tell me. Manashuddhi, very good. Awakening of consciousness. You sound like Kundalini right now. Awareness, sure.
You don't have any fear while closing towards death.
Very well said. ઘણી ભાગવત કથા સાંભળી લાગે છે.
Reconnect with Thakurji.
Very good. Very good. કેટલા લોકો હાજરી પુરાવા આવ્યા છો? See, this is what we joke about. I'll tell you why. In Bhagavad Saptana, we have 3 people. One who have time to kill. 2, they have been invited. And 3rd, they voluntarily come. Whom do you think we love the most? Whom do you think we love the most? Make the choice yourself if it's an MCQ question. I'm not going to answer that question. Why should I comment on that? It's your choice. Which category do you fall into? You figure out yourself. One thing that happens for sure, you can read the translation over here. After listening to Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji, one thing is for sure, તમારા પાપના નાશ થશે. Your sins will wither away for sure. Provided you listen to it, you remember it, and these thoughts go in you, you embody them, you remember them. And mind you, Bhagavad Katha just doesn't stop in these 7 days. It opens a floodgate for you to remember the principles of Bhagavad Ji even after the Saptah is done. And here's a question that will come into the picture. Because over here we are going to talk about Bhagavan's Katha, I have a question for you. What do you read on the screen? What does it mean? Multiple God means Devta, fantastic. In our case, Bhagavan, which we had already spoken about on the first day. Can you tell me which Devtas are supposed to be prayed by general people? Ganesh Ji, Shankar Ji, Vishnu. You're still missing out on 2. You're missing out on 2. Shivji, Shankar, I am assuming are the same. No. Devi, thank you. One missing. Brahma is only a witness in a yagna. Thank you. You got it right. Surya. I want all of you, for people who are interested in writing this down, I want you to write it down. We have, so Hindu, Sanatan Dharma followers, primarily pray to 5 Devi and Devtas. So henceforth onwards, God word will be substituted by Devi and Devta in the Katha. Shiva, Shakti, Ganesha, Vishnu and Surya. Now, depending on your faith, depending on your affinity towards one, that particular Deva or a Devi will stay in the center. How in a battlefield there's a war formation, people get placed accordingly and then they are supposed to battle the way they are supposed to fight. In a mandir as well, Devi and Devta have dedicated spaces. And depending on your faith, depending on your affinity towards either of the Devi or a Devta, that particular Devi or Devta's placement changes. For example, if you are a believer of Shiva, if you are following the path of Shaivism, Shiva comes in the center. If you are a follower of Devi, that means you are a follower of a Shakti. That means you are known as Shakta. Shakti or the Devi will be in the center. This Devi could also be your Kul Devi. Third, if you follow Ganesh Ji and Ganesh Ji is in the center, then you are categorized as Ganapatya. Ganapati, follower of Ganapati is called as Ganapatya. If you are a follower of Surya, that is sun, then sun comes in the center and you are known as Saur. Not Sar, Saur. Same spelling, S-O-U-R, S-A-O-U-R rather. And the last one, if you have affinity towards Vishnu and any form of Vishnu, Vishnu comes in the center and hence you are known as Vaishnava. Is this clear? Now in Vaishnava there could be categories. You could be a follower of Tirupati Balaji. You could be a follower of Ramchandra Ji. You could be a follower of Bake Bihari. You could be a follower of ISKCON. You could be a follower of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, that is Radharaman Ji. You could be a follower of Hit Harivansh Ji. You could be a follower of Shukra Sampradaya. There are various Vaishnav Sampradayas as well. You could be a follower of Ramanand Ji. You could be a follower of Ramanuj Ji. You could be a follower of Vedanta Deshikcharya. So you could be any Vaishnava amongst these. And then comes that community that speaks Jai Shri Krishna, because they have affinity towards Srinath Ji and they primarily follow the path of grace, which is known as Pushti Marg. So just like us, there are other Vaishnavas as well who exist. I hope this is clear for all of you. Confirm? Yes, yes? Anyone has any confusion? And this concept that I just explained to you is Panchayatan versus Thakurji. Panchayatan refers to the group of 5 Devi Devtas. Now let's move on to the other side of the world, which is one Thakurji. Who is this one Thakurji? First of all, why the word Thakur or Thakur? I think that was one of the questions that was asked in the link that was sent to all of you. Thakur is a term which comes in Vraj. I'm assuming you all know where Vraj is. In Vraj, Thakur is a word which is utilized as respect. Vraj ko Thakur, Vraj ko Raja is Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So Thakurji was an original term which became Thakurji in our daily language. It still means the king, king of Vraj. Hence we call our Thakurji as Thakurji. Clear? Sure? બધા સુઈ ગયા લાગો છો. Okay. Now, to take a step further, a lot of times you might have heard અહીંયા નહીં જવાનું, ત્યાં નહીં જવાનું, આ નહીં કરવાનું, તે નહીં કરવાનું, don't pray so many people, pray only one. And this is where I'm going to introduce one more concept to you. praying to all versus exclusivity. Now, what do I mean by praying to all versus exclusivity? A regular Hindu will pray each and every Devi and Devta. On the contrary, a Vaishnav, specifically someone who says Jai Shri Krishna, will land up doing Krishna ki seva on a daily basis and will remember other Devi Devta only on occasions. Now, what do I mean by occasions? For example, Bhagavad Katha has happened over here. Just on this right side, there's a small place where all the Devi Devta ka sthapana is done. Now, during such occasions, like weddings, like Janoi, thread ceremony, like Śrīmad, that's baby shower in your language, all of these occasions, we invite these Devi Devtas to come our home. Ganeshji graces us. Matruka, that's your Kul Devi that graces you. Shivji graces you. Surya anyway is omnipresent, so Surya's presence is there anytime, any day, daytime of your life. And you pay your homages, you pay your respects during such occasions. Why? Because a Pushtimarya Vaishnav or someone who follows Bhagavan Shri Krishna is not liable / required to do anything and everything related to other Devi Devtas on a daily basis. Why? Because they have an exclusivity with Thakurji. Am I saying the first one is wrong? No, I'm not saying first one is wrong. There are ample of people who voluntarily do the first one. The second category of the people is where Thakurji chooses you and makes you interact with him. A lot of people feel, I've got this in my lineage. A lot of people feel my grandmother used to do it, my grandfather used to do it, my father used to do it, my great-grandparents used to do it. It has come to me, but I don't know the way forward. Maybe your call hasn't come yet. But if you take certain efforts, if you show affinity towards understanding Bhagavan Shri Krishna, there's a higher chance that call could come to you as well. See, it's a play. You show intent, Thakurji also might take a step. You stay disinterested, Thakurji might keep you away. But let's say if Thakurji's mood changes, and even if you're disinterested, he might just change your life. See, I've seen drug addicts, non-vegetarian addicts, smoke and drinking addicts changing their life 180 degrees. Because if you do 360, you come to the same place. Yeah, they change their life 180 degrees, and I've seen a different side altogether. I knew one uncle who used to go to 5 different temples on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Spent 25 years doing that. Now he became 65. He's like, I can't do this. I'm going to only do one. His life changed. Person who used to go to 20 different temples, 30 different occasions here and there, is now serving Bhagavan Shri Krishna during seva, right from 7:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the evening. He is not bothered about anything else in the world. Yes?
Isn't all the Thakuris, all the gods one?
No.
I have a question on one of our dear uncles. He used to collect all the pictures and put it in his mandir. He would worship every single day to every god. And also special to Thakur. Thakurji Seva was very big in his house. But everybody in his house got crazy. They had disaster in the family. He's worshipping God. So why, it could be any God. Why is there this of distress in the house or the family?
So,
Why he can't worship the other gods together?
okay. So here's this thing. So that if you treat Krishna as an avatar of Vishnu, then feel free to worship whichever gods you want to. Because for you, he's just another deity. Just how Shivji is another deity, Ganeshji is another deity. You're just treating him to be, okay, this is God, uska ek avatar hai, and you're treating him as a sidelining character over here. So be it so, just treat him the way he is. In such a case, you will end up celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi / Navratri / Shivratri / Janmashtami / Uttarayan, everything. We also celebrate it. The only difference is we make it Krishna-centric. Reason being, only when you go on the path of exclusivity, Bhagavan expects that. That if you are mine, then stay as mine. Don't wander around at 10 places. And this will be further clarified when we listen to Govardhan Leela. Because in Govardhan Leela, all the Vrajvasis were scattered and they were praising Indra for giving rains, etc. etc. Bhagavan said, હું અહીંયા બેઠો છું તમારે ઇન્દ્ર પાસે જવાની જરૂરત શું છે? This is only one space where Bhagavan expects a relationship with the devotee. Rest other cases he is not expecting. So when you go on the other side of the world where you are treating everyone as the same, Bhagavan is not taking any special efforts to build a relationship with you. But only when you come on this side of it, Bhagavan expects an exclusivity stating that stay mine. So people are treating everyone as everyone, good. But when you walk on the path of grace, or maybe when you do a bhakti which is called as Ananya, even Ravana was an Ananya Bhakta of Shiva. He didn't have 10 different places to bow down his head. He only bowed out to one. And that's the same thing which is...
To the other, what difference does it make? If you
The-
worship all of them,
the Anan-
same
so the Ananyata breaks there. You're not Ananya, you're not exclusive anymore.
Agreed, but he is going with the good faith and
Yeah, so-
prayer to God.
Appreciated,
So
but not the optimum. Appreciated, definitely appreciated, but not optimum. And there's a small varta behind it, I'll tell it to you. There's this one Madi, one old lady. She used to go to bathe in the river. One day her leg slipped and એક બિલાડી જાડી તેને ભેરી સાડી સાડી પહેરી ફરવા ગઈ તળાવમાં તરવા ગઈ તળાવમાં મગર બિલાડીને આવ્યા ચક્કર તો પડી ગયા બિચારા. And the minute she fell down in the river, she started yelling, "Oh Ganeshji, મને બચાવો." And Ganeshji heard that. By the time Ganeshji got ready to sit on the mushak and come down, she started yelling, "Parvatiji, મને બચાવો." She thought, now mummy is going, why do I need to go? They sat back. Parvatiji decided by the time tiger or the lion was here, Madi said, "Shivji, mane bachao." Pati Dev is going, I don't need to go. Shivji is like, "Chalo, Nandi, let's go." By that time she said, "Brahmaji, mane bachao." Shivji is like, my father has been called, why should I need to go? I don't need to go right now. Brahmaji will go on the stand. Brahmaji is ready now. By the time Brahmaji is ready, she says, "Vishnu, mane bachao." Vishnu Bhagavan got ready with Garudji, and by that time, Dabaya Namaha. Pochi gaya Madi. Now Madi knocks the door of Chitragupta and says, "What is this behavior? I called so many Devis and Devtas, none of them came." Then Chitragupta also asked, "You called for one. Couldn't you even wait for one to come?" And hence, a conclusion of Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita is respect all, have faith in one. ભૂખ લાગે ત્યારે મા પાસે જવાય, આ જોઈતા હોય ત્યારે બાપા પાસે જવાય. અહીંયા રોલ પ્લે ચાલે, પણ રક્ષણ કરવાની વાત આવે ત્યારે દીકરાના મોઢામાંથી મા પહેલા આવશે. એનો મતલબ એ નથી બાપ માટે અનાદર છે. Are you getting the context behind it? Hey, are you being punished or what? Why don't you sit, my friend? Basi hai yaar.
don't come to Baba. I can
Hey, Nana, you have to go to Bapa. We have to fix that thing. We have spoken about it.
I'm allowed.
But jokes apart, I hope you're getting the context behind all of these conversations. Yeah? See, generally, Bhagavad Saptas are extremely complex, right? Bhagavad by itself is a complex scripture. It's not a very easy scripture. You might not merely understand just by reading it. We're taking some essence of these various shlokas that are over there and we're trying to explain them to you. So, let me put it this way. You are in a customized menu right now. The only difference is I'm the one who's customizing it. It's not actually me who's customizing it. It's him who's making me customize it. I'm just a medium. It's not me who's talking. ચલો હવે તમારી ચેતનાઓને બીજી બાજુ distract થવા કરતાં અહીંયા પાછી લાવો. Stop getting so disturbed by what's happening in the surrounding. Let's focus on this one word. Bhagavan. We had decided 5 kirtans to be sung today. I'm not even realizing when do we reach there. Yogini auntie, me, Girish uncle did so much mehnat of finding one kirtan which is like very favorite of mine. Till that extent we had to take help from Mumbai and other places as well. We weren't finding that one kirtan. So let's see. What does Bhagavan mean? Supreme, Almighty, one and only. Sugitu? Savior? Krishna? How nice. So mark આપ્યા તમને આ સર માટે. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. Source of everything. Okay, let's make your life a little easier. Have you heard of the word Dhanwan? Dhanwan. What does Dhanwan mean? The one who has dhan. What does Vidyavan mean? Fantastic. What does Shaktiman mean? Not the cartoon, huh? The one who has power. Similarly, it's Bhak plus 1. It's Bhak plus 1. Ignore the last, that 6 qualities wala line. It's not meant for you. I'll explain you what does Bhag mean. Bhag means someone who carries 6 qualities. Someone who carries 6 qualities. Girish uncle will understand this if I mention Moola Purush, where Girdharji has got 1 quality, Govindji has got 1 quality, Balkrishnaji has got 1 quality. 7 બાળકોની 6 બાળકોના ગુણ અને એક ધર્મી. So that's for them to understand. And for you all, there are 6 qualities. If you want to write them down, you can write them down. The first one is called Aishwarya. The first one is called Aishwarya. Aishwarya ideally means affluence. Aishwarya ideally means affluence. The next one is called Virya. Virya technically means valor or courage. Virya means valor or courage. And Bhagavan's Virya has been propounded in many of his avatars as well. So we are well versed with it. Third is Yasha. Yasha refers to fame. Bhagavan's yash is such that we even call him Makhan Chor. Makhan Chor, someone who steals makhan. And if you recite that Arti, Chitta Chori Lidha, Jaya Kana Kada, Chitta Chori Lidha refers to he even steals our conscience, he even steals our attention. Yeah, so much we can, his fame is such that we can go on and on. He is one of the wealthiest, actually he is the ultimate wealthiest. Lakshmi potani patni hai. He is affluent with Shri. Shri is wealth. So Aishwarya, Virya, Yasha, Shri. एकदम स्कूल वाली वाइब आवे છે ને ટીચર લખાવી રહ્યા હતા. So one is materialistic, one is non-materialistic. Affluence is like આવવાથી જ મારી પ્રેઝન્સથી જ બધું ઠીક થઈ જાય. પ્રેઝન્સ મારું ઐશ્વર્ય એટલું છે કારણ નામથી કામ થઈ જાય. મારું નહીં, ભગવાનના નામથી. Yeah, the fifth one is Jnana. Fifth one is Jnana. And the last but not the least is called Vairagya, and that is detachment. Who's the wealthiest man on this planet Earth? You come from a business family. I to come from a Pandit family. So answer this question. Who's the wealthiest man on this earth? On paper, as per Forbes, I think it's Elon Musk. Prior to that, many names have come and gone. You can calculate the wealth of Elon Musk. You can't calculate the wealth that Thakurji has. Who's the famous most human being on this planet Earth? Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's true. Taylor Swift. Taylor Swifty. Swifty is the trend of the universe. ભગવાનનો ઐશ્વર્ય ટેલર સ્વિફ્ટ કરતા પણ વધારે છે. Who's the most learned person on this planet Earth? You know the wealthiest. Do you know the learned most? No one cares about the professors. But Thakurji's Gyan is beyond people's understanding as well. And last question, who's the most detached person on this earth? You know the wealthiest, you know the strongest. You might even know the famous one. But if I ask you who's the most detached person in this universe, would you have an answer?
We are so detached, we don't know. Because they're detached, right?
No. We are so engrossed that we don't know who's the detached one. We are not detached. Not yet. We hopefully should be. Acha, one question. Is being detached being cold?
No.
Does detached being cold? So, will being detached considered you be carefree? My psychological friend, is detachment being carefree? Think about it. Is it carefree?
Contrary.
Think about it. Think about it. Think about it.
Doing your day-to-day stuff.
There's a difference being cold-hearted, and there's a difference between not being hampered by it. Cold-hearted people ignore. People with compassion, they might have a heart, it might pain them, but they also have this ulterior sense of control where they can bounce back very quickly. Detached people are the ones who can keep their calm and composure even in worse situations. Like just take Bhagavan Shri Krishna's example. Na? The entire family is dying in front of you, but you're just there. And what happened in those so-called Beverly Hills when the fire was burnt, like the forest fire broke out? What happened in US? Please tell us. How was the massacre over there?
Yeah, it was
Pathetic.
It was pretty bad. Yeah, there was literally no compassion. In fact, the hotels and Airbnbs, they hiked up the price 30% because they knew these people had nowhere to go. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It's an opportunist economy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pretty sad.
Yeah.
Sad with that movie for most.
And this Bhagavan has been explained in Śrīmad Bhagwat G, where it has been said that Ete chan sakalaha punsa krishnastu Bhagavan swayam. Someone who carries these 6 qualities is considered to be Bhagavan. And as per Śrīmad Bhagwat Ji, Bhagavan is Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So you attaching the word Bhagavan to Shankar is not Bhagwat Ji's thought. That thought comes from Shiva Purana. You attaching the word Bhagavati to Sri Shakti, that thought comes from Devi Bhagavatam. You're attaching the word Ganesh, the word Bhagavan to Ganesh, that thought comes from Ganesha Purana. And since we are dealing with Vaishnavism over here, our focus area of Bhagavan is going to be Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And until now, what you have studied is Vishnu has taken avatars. I want to break that myth right now. It's Bhagavan who takes the form of Vishnu and that Vishnu takes that avatars. जागी जाओ बता, उठी जाओ.
So that Bhagwan can take the avatar of Shiva or Devi, Vishnu only.
He can take whichever avatar he needs to. Till that extent, all of the Devis and Devtas are Vibhuti of that Bhagwan. And that's exactly the darshan that you might have done in Bhagwat Gita, Vishwarupa darshan. And that's exactly the darshan which I will also make you do on the last day of Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. And till that extent, that in today's Katha, in the last 1 hour, I'll be even speaking about how Brahma is made and how Shiva is made. As per Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. So until now you have studied that Vishnu takes avatar. Now I'm telling you, there are 3 energies. These 3 energies were mentioned yesterday. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. This thought is coming from, if you want to write down, you can even write down, First Skand, Adhyaya 2, Shlok number 23. You can even write down 1.2.23. Whenever you get time, just read the translation. You will get some insights about it. And the shloks further will help you understand that there are 3 forms of energies, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, which are also known as Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. These 3 energies are governed by 3 swarups. 3 forms govern these 3 energies. Hari, Hara, and Virinchi. Hari refers to Vishnu, who is the Sattva. Hara is Shiva, who handles Tamasic. And Virinchi is Rajas, Rajasic, also known as Brahma. In Gujarati, we call this Jagya Tyarthi Savar. It's morning as soon as we wake up. And this thought actually Yogini Bain will relate to. If someone comes to study Sangeet and they have studied earlier, preferably no one takes them as students. ભણાવા કરતા જે ખોટું ભણ્યા હોય ને એને સુધારવા માટે તકલીફ થાય. Am I right? બહુ મોટી તકલીફ. So right now what I'm doing is I'm removing the rust that's there in all of us. And I'm giving you a fresh perspective of Bhagavad Gita. And if there's no perspective, even better. You have a blank slate. And I'm giving the impressions of what is supposed to be there from Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. Now, what you all mentioned that there are only 10 avatars. In Bhagavad Gita's 1.3, 1 is Skanda, 0.3, 3 is Adhyaya. In the 3rd Adhyaya, there has been emphasis on 22 avatars straightforward. Dashavatar is the one that is popular for all of you. But Bhagavan takes 24 avatars, out of which 22 are directly mentioned over here. Have you heard of Mohini?
Yes.
Who's Mohini?
The female,
No, she's not an Apsara.
female incarnation of Shri Krishna.
Correct. Bhagavan only takes an avatar of Mohini. She becomes a part of that group of 22. Remember I spoke about Narada Ji yesterday?
Yeah.
Part of that group. Right? So now I'm going to introduce to you Vyasa Maharshi. What do you know about Vyasa Maharshi Ji? He's written the which scriptures? See, just one, even if you don't know, it's fine. If you know something, feel free to speak it out. Okay, I'm not going to judge you for giving wrong answers. I'm no one to judge you.
He's a teacher.
The teacher, maybe. Father of Shukdev G, good relationship.
But he's also called an avatar of Vishnu.
Of course, he's an avatar of Vishnu. I'm just looking out for one word. There's one word which is associated with Vyasa. Nice. He didn't write the Vedas. No, he didn't write the Vedas. No, more than that, he's guru of all the Acharyas.
He's a Purna avatar.
He's not a Purna avatar. He's a Jnana avatar. He's the avatar of wisdom. Now, I'll prove my point. How is he the avatar of wisdom? If you want, make a note of it. Vyasa, look at the contribution to the Sanatana Dharma that he's done. He is responsible for wisdom. He is the one who divided Ved into 4 parts. Ved was one. He divided that Ved into 4 parts because it takes about 12 years to study one Ved. So you might have heard of a surname called Chaturvedi. Chaturvedi are those people who have actually studied 4 Veds. Trivedi are those people who have studied 3 Veds. Dvivedi are those people who have studied 2 Veds. I hope it makes sense to you now. Yeah, these are not mere titles which are carried forward as a surname. So Vyasa is the one who has bifurcated one Ved into 4 parts, considering the timeline of Kalyug that we are in right now. Second, he himself has written a scripture called as Brahma Sutra. He himself has written a scripture called as Brahma Sutra, which talks about the higher self, which talks about the Brahma, which talks about the ultimate reality. What do you see here? Do you know the story of how Mahabharat came? Are you aware of it or no? Arey haan ke na to bolo. If you don't know, say no. Everything is not yes, yes. You can even say no, no. You don't know, na? So I'll share it with you. My job is to share it with you. Vyasa ji had an idea, had a thought, because he had witnessed the entire Mahabharat. He thought of writing something. He meditates upon Brahmaji. Brahmaji appears and states that you need someone to write it for you. You won't be able to write it yourself. So he approaches Ganeshji. Ganeshji says, I have a condition. I will write it for you, but if you stop, if you pause, then that's it. Vyasa is equally smart. He said, you can't write without understanding it. So I will be narrating it to you, and Vyasa intentionally wrote sometimes complex statements and complex shlokas, which took Ganeshji some time to interpret and interpass. And then he wrote them, and by that time Vyasa had already thought of the longer version and the further versions. Now you will be surprised to hear this. Mahabharat originally had 60 lakh shlokas in it. How many? 60 lakh. Out of which only 1 lakh is presently available. Yeah. 59 lakh verses got bifurcated in different loks for different worlds. There's a Gandharva lok, there's Pitru lok, so all those places got those 59 lakh verses. Only 1 lakh verses is available for humankind. In that as well, some 1,000 to 2,000 shlokas are not even easy for us to understand. Vyasa ji himself is stating it कि आप हमने नहीं समझा है. Now imagine this: you put Iliad and Odyssey together, supposed to be the so-called longest scriptures in the Western world. You put them together, they'll still fall short of what Mahabharat has been written for, because Mahabharat has 1 lakh shlokas in it. And mind you, apart from these, adds on for this moment, Sri Vyasa ji has written 17 Purana out of the 18. So look at the credibility of Vyasa. Vedavyas Ji, bifurcation of the Ved, individual writing of the Brahma Sutra, narrator of the Mahabharat, definite author of 17 Purans. After doing all of this, he's distressed. After doing all of this as well, Vedavyas Ji is still distressed. He has discontentment. कुछ तो बाकी है. It's like the legend of the game stating, hey, I've done everything all, but no, he still says, I've still game left in me. There's some dissatisfaction left in Sri Vedavyas. He is yet to figure it out. And mind you, he lives at a riverbank. He only has certain segment of fruit. If he feels thirsty, he just has water. He lives in a sadhu avastha. Has zero expectations, has zero connectivity. Is engrossed in the divine. Yet has a roadblock. And what do you do when you have a roadblock? Shu karwanu? Surrender. But that's you who know to surrender. Vedavyas Ji needed some inspiration to go in that direction. And this is where you need someone's guidance to take you forward. And who do you think could be the guidance for Vedavyas Ji? Thank you. Absolutely, thank you. द्वापरे समनुप्राप्ते तृतीये युगपर्यये जातः पराशराद् योगी वासव्याम कलया हरेः. What amazing work has he done? Itihas and Puran. Mahabharat by itself is called Itihas. And the 17 Purans, when you put all the 18 Purans and Itihas together, it is equivalent to a Ved. And mind you, anyone has heard this rumor that you can't read Mahabharat? How many of you have heard this rumor? Nowhere in the entire Mahabharat it is written by Vyasa Ji that this is not supposed to be read. Whichever Jyotish person says keep that Mahabharat, don't keep the Madhvacharya in your house, please make that Jyotish person meet me.
But it's even told not to watch it also. Yes.
તમારા ઘરમાં મહાભારત ઓછી છે કે વધવાની છે? It's a myth. It's a myth. Nowhere in the Mahabharat has said, nowhere in the Mahabharat Vyasa Ji has said આને ઘરમાં મહાભારત રાખવાથી મહાભારત થવાની છે. This is how you distance yourself from the Mahabharat. Achha, do you know for whom Mahabharat was written for primarily? Take a wild guess. Nah. You saying something? EMI specific cha. Krishna is a director over there, he's not the actor. અરે અર્જુન થઈ ગયા એના પછી મહાભારત લખાણી છે. The primary audience of Mahabharat was someone who didn't have access to Ved. That's us. That's the audience that's sitting right in front of my eyes. Because studying Ved requires eligibility, requires Janoi, requires you to be eligible to study Ved. And this is the beauty of Vedavyas Ji. Why should women suffer? One scripture larger than the Ved in terms of size and quantum is actually written specifically. And these days people are writing books on management from Śrīmad, Bhagwat Gita and management from Śrīmad, from Mahabharat. Just read Mahabharat, you will become a manager yourself. Literally read Mahabharat, you will become a manager yourself. So Veda Vyasji has discontentment and he is visited by Sri Naradji. Now Naradji, mind you, is the son of Brahma and he's also an avatar of Bhagavan. Naradji tells him about his previous life. How satsang can change your life is the perspective of Naradji. Naradji was like, I come from a family where my mother had too much attachment for me. She was known for doing service, but then I had to think of something above and beyond. I happened to be coming in association with the Sadhu Purush, and that changed my life. Sadhu is not someone who wears a Bhagavan and walks around. Sadhu is someone who has a simple living and high thinking. Will understand what's happening in the modern world and still be, very rooted to the principles of the past as well. Someone who's creating a balance of both will not merely discard what's happening in the current era. And sadhu by itself is considered to be a tirtha. If a sadhu purush comes to your house, understand that all the tirtha, all the Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, all of these have come to your house. That's the beauty of a sadhu purush. That's the reason you don't shake hands with a sadhu purush. You touch their feet. So Naradji is giving context of his previous life and he says one thing. What have you not done? You haven't recited the glory of the Almighty. You have not recited the glory of Almighty. Yasho Bhagavato Malam. This is the verse in the 8th shlok. What you are seeing is the 10th shlok. Harer Yasho, if you can see that word. Harer Yasho, it's probably in the Harer Yash, Hari ka Yash, Hari ka Naam. You haven't recited Hari's Yash, you haven't recited the Leela of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And because you haven't recited the Leela of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, is why you are dissatisfied.
I have a question related to the previous discussion.
Please go ahead.
About reading or not reading
Yep. Mahabharat.
Mahabharat in the house.
Yep.
Now, maybe your version is a newer version,
Mhm.
which now says that is okay to read.
Nah,
But-
hold on. Go ahead.
Previous generation, they all implemented and they ensured that it is not to be read and not to be discussed, and that still exists.
That's what I want to break that myth.
So your myth, your statement now says the other way.
Yeah.
And maybe the next generation will again change.
Yeah.
Because they must have got deeper spirituality aspects, or they are going against the. So there's always a contradiction going to be there. So what's the actual right?
Okay.
It will keep on changing forever.
Sure. All those people who said that you shouldn't keep Mahabharat in the house haven't read the Mahabharat themselves.
No, but they have really gone through Bhagavad Gita, not one, twice, 10 times, 100 times probably in that lifetime.
You're mixing two scriptures.
Yes, but it states in the Bhagavad Gita.
No?
Okay.
No? That's what I'm telling you. Certain things have come as.
In the Mahabharata.
Huh.
In the Mahabharata, you say it's not written in.
Correct.
But they have probably gone through it.
See, this is okay. Let me put it this way. There's a player called as Cristiano Ronaldo. Sorry to give a anti-Barca example. He has this feeling કે હું મારો રાઈટ પગ મૂકું ને તો જ મેચ જીતું. હવે કોઈના ભાગ્યમાં એવું થયું હશે કે એને મહાભારત વાંચવાની સ્ટાર્ટ કરી અને એના ઘરમાં મહાભારત થઈ એટલે એને મસ્ત
Because of that.
Vyasji is taking efforts for us and we create that rumor and that goes on for generations and we carry it proudly. So what will happen? I will say, someone will read અને જો એમના ગ્રહ બગડ્યા હશે ત્યારે એટલે પાછો બ્લેમ આવી જશે. શાસ્ત્રીજીએ તો કીધેલું. I તો did it. Now I have Mahabharat in my house. Not my fault, my friend. You did something wrong. Your karma is wrong. You are bitten because of that. मैं क्या करूँ? Not my fault. Yeah. Rather, if you read Mahabharata, you will realize that in your downtime, you are supposed to take efforts. And the prime example of taking efforts during your downtime is Arjuna. When situations are not in your favor, you are still supposed to take efforts. You are supposed to create friends for you. You're supposed to create allies. You're supposed to gather wealth. You're supposed to gather weaponry. At that time, his primary role was to fight, right? And that's what Arjuna was committed to.
Keeping the faith in one.
Yes, of course. That he had. There's no doubt in that. And there were lesser chances for him to get deviated. He had Krishna with him. What have we done? We have kept Krishna on the backside when he's supposed to be with us or ahead of us. The minute you will bring Krishna ahead of us, I think your life will become easier. Instead of you dragging the Rath, let Krishna drag the Rath for you. I think life will become easier.
How do you implement that?
By listening to Śrīmad Bhagavata.
Only.
No, not just that. You do more satsang. You meet more people who are Bhagavad Premi. Avoid the drama in life.
But in your own thought process,
Yeah.
or in your own this,
You have to speak with your conscience continuously.
Without a logical mind.
Thank you for bringing this point, logic.
That's where the conflict comes.
So that's where I'll step in now. After a stage, logic won't help you in spirituality. I'm not using the word religion right now. Mark my words. I'm using the words after a point, logic won't help you in spirituality. And in other words, when logic stops, magic happens. Because there is something which is beyond your control, there is something which is beyond your imagination, there is something which is beyond your power as well. And Shastra clearly says, tark, that is logic, is not a mere method to understand the Supreme. At some point of time, you will get stuck. See, people who were extremely learned were also not the one who could understand Bhagavan as much as people who were not that learned could understand. Prime example is gopis of Vraj. That love and emotion that gopis of Vraj could develop, probably you and me can't even develop. And that is why in Kirtan it is said, Gopi Prem Ki Dhwaja. Gopi is the ultimate symbol of love that we need to replicate. In Bhagavad Gita's start, we say there are two types of people who listen to Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. Rasik and Bhavuk. What does Rasik mean? There are people who have heard Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita multiple times. They have interest in Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. And then there are some people who have no understanding about Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. They have a bhavna, they have a curiosity that they want to know. Both of these people are equally appreciated in Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita's presence. Who know the tattva but still want to enjoy that even further. And people who come with a clean slate and want to gain perspective. Rasika bhuvi bhavuka. So yes, this is my point and take on the spiritual aspect of it and the logical aspect of it. Now all of you, I'm going to give you a Gayatri of Bhagavan. You feel that there is only one Gayatri in the universe, which is the Gayatri mantra of the Gayatri Devi. But there are multiple such Gayatri mantras. This mantra, this shloka, was given by Narada ji to Shri Vyasa ji. It says, Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam, Vasudevaya Dhimai. I'll make you recite, don't worry. Vasudevaya Dhimai, Pradyumnaya Niruddhaya, Namah Sankarshanaya Cha. So I'll make you recite it after me. Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam, नमो भगवते तुभ्यं वासुदेवाय धीमहि वासुदेवाय धीमहि प्रद्युम्ना प्रद्युम्ना यानिरुद्धाय यानिरुद्धाय नमः नमः संकर्षणाय च संकर्षणाय च. When was the last time you ever recited a shloka in Śrīmad Bhagavad Katha? I'm assuming you might have been to a couple at least. First time? क्या बात है, congratulations. I'm clapping for you. Happy for you. 4 words you need to focus upon over here. Vasudev, Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Sankarshan. Vasudev, Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Sankarshan, when they put together, Bhagavan formulates. And now, you will be able to understand this better when we come to the 10th skanda of Bhagavad Gita. Because Sankarshan is Balram, Vasudeva is Bhagavan himself, Pradyumna is his son, and Aniruddha is his grandson. And 4 of these do 4 types of leelas. Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Sankarshan and Aniruddha, they are responsible for one activity each. You want to know these activities?
Yes.
Let me see if you will say Bhagavan ki Jai Jaykar or not. Shri Govardhan Nath ki Jai. Good enough. So, Vasudeva is responsible for giving moksha, liberation. Pradyumna is responsible for lineage, creation. Sankarshan is responsible for protection. And Aniruddha is responsible for destruction. These 4 things put together have been mentioned over here, which are the 4 aspects known as Vyuha. V-Y-U-H-A. Vyuha. When these 4 come together, a Purna avatar comes. That means Bhagavan comes as himself. So what has Naradji done over here? Naradji has taken a shlok, Naradji has taken a mantra. Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Vasudevaya Dhimahi. Dhimahi refers to meditate upon. Whom are you supposed to meditate upon? Bhagavan, who has Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Sankarshan in him. 4 aspects of it. And these 4 together is the Purna Swarup of Bhagavan. And that is the same Swarup that is being meditated upon. And this conversation between Sri Naradji and Vyasa goes even further. One aspect that Naradji speaks about is holy name. આપણે કૃષ્ણ શ્રી કૃષ્ણ શરણમ મમ ની તૈયારી ગાવાની કરજો. Holy name of Bhagavan. What happens when you take holy name of Bhagavan? A repeated recitation will become a habit for you. Repeated recitation will become a habit for you. A lot of people might have heard that you should do Ashtakshar mantra on a daily basis, on a continuous basis. It is not merely supposed to be done in the format of a mala. Generally, people have a question, kitli mala karu? How many times do I chant Bhagavan's name? See, ISKCON might have a philosophy that you should do 21 malas a day. Or certain other sampradayas would have a count against it. We don't have a count. Why we don't have a count? Because we are supposed to do it by default. Let me put it this way. It is supposed to be a part of our habit altogether. And Bhagavan's Naam is such, it can be taken in most of the situations. Barring a few here and there, till that extent that someone is on deathbed. Sorry to go towards a cruel side of thought process, but death is a very acceptable phenomena of the universe. Just embrace it the way it comes. So let's say someone is not being able to, the soul is not being able to exit the body. In this case, when they're not being able to exit the body, words like Rama, words like Krishna, words like Hari, these are supposed to be merely chanted continuously around them. Something as simple as Rama, 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 Krishna, 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 Hari, 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 Hari. Even if these are being continuously chanted, and by the end moment when it comes, if the soul leaves the body, then be it so. So, having said this, we are going to take the aspect of Bhagavan's name and we're going to recite one kirtan which is going to be sung in rag Gauri. Gauri happens to be the rag of evening. It's called Krishna Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Uchchare. It refers to you are supposed to take Bhagavan's name, Bhagavan's Ashtakshar mantra, and that is going to be sung right now by them.
Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna Saranam Mama.
Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna Saranam Mama.
Renadina
Nitya Prati Sada Balachina Ghadi Karatavingasa Jana Akhila Udar Parine Hare.
Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna Saranam Mama.
Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna Saranam Mama. Hot Hari Rupa Rajabupa Bhave Sada Agama Bhavasindhu ko Bina Sadhana Tare Rahat Nishadi Vasa Ananda Ora me bhayo pruste leela sakalane Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna Saranam Mama Lal Giri Dharan ki Mahima Atula Jagavi Sharanam Krishna Dasa Nigama Neti Neti Krishna Dasa Nigama Neti Neti Kare
Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna Saranam Mama. Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna Saranam Mama. Shri Krishna Saranam Mama.
कि कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की. So if you realize this, I wish that there can be a slightly flexible permission maybe in future where the scholars of Vraj even translate this to make it more publicly accessible. Reason being, it's not essential to go in the deep of the Bhavarat every now and then, but a slight simple translation as well is going to be beneficial for us. How? There's this one line over here. Rena dina nitya prati. Rena dina nitya prati. It refers to may it be day or may it be night. Nitya refers to constant. What does Bhagavan names do? Karata vidvamsa jana akhila agha pariharya. Bhagavan's name has the power to eliminate sorrow. Bhagavan's name has the power to eliminate worries. Bhagavan's name has the power to even destroy our egos. One of the reasons why Madan, Bhagavan can do Mardan, Bhagavan can do Madan of our egos for sure. Bhagavan can do the Madan of Kam. Bhagavan can be the one who can destroy a lot of things. And Bhagavan's name Mahima is something that we had experienced. Me and Udaiba had the chance to go to listen to one of our very respectful Kathavachaks we were in Vraj at that time. We just heard about Nam Mahatmya, importance of Nam for about 3.5 hours. It was just one chapter, one adhyay, spoken about for 3.5 hours. A lot of times you might have heard of the statement, Ram se Ram Naam ki Mahima zyada. More than Ram name's Mahima is more. It is true for Kalyug because in the age of Kali, possibly you may not be able to do bhakti as much as you can easily, but taking Bhagavan's name is much easier. And if you bring it in your conscious efforts, nothing better than that. So considering this thought, let's move to an adhyay which is correlated to Śrīmad, Bhagavata and Mahabharat's relation. Have you heard of Ashwatthama? Yes. Who was Ashwatthama? Dronacharya's son. Was he nice? Was Ashwatthama nice? He was nice? He was ambitious. Having ambition is not a bad thing. Having ambition is not a bad thing. He just had the wrong company. Wrong company. Acha, off the record, now I'm going to quote you. Was Karna good? Everyone has empathy. See, this is the problem of Kalyug. Everyone has empathy for people who do wrong. People are compassionate. Ravan was so nice, he did it with touch sitare, adat to mari jat.
No, but Karna, something was wrong, that's why he accompanied, he went to the...
That's what, no? So people are comparing, was so wrong happened with Karna. He also made his choices. He had an option to switch sides. But morality clause. I stood by my friend. See, listen. We'll have Katha of Vidur at that time. I'll raise this topic and have a conversation with you then. Just remind me. When Vidur's Katha come, please remind me at that time. Shastriji, shower light on this, I will. So, the war is about to end and Duryodhana is pretty much dismantled. Duryodhana still has that one desire, can someone please kill Pandavas? Ashwatthama is like, I'll do it. Duryodhana wondering, yeah, really? You'll do it? Yeah, entire battle is finished and you are the one who's now coming and telling me I'll do it. Ashwatthama then goes and attacks the kids of Pandav. There are certain rules of the war. The rules of the war is once the battle is concluded in the evening, you're not supposed to attack the enemy. This not-so-gentleman enters the opposition's clan, which was supposed to be guarded. It wasn't guarded, it was off guard. He enters the place where Draupadi's 5 children are sleeping. And instead of killing Pandavas, he lands up killing children of Draupadi. Atatai. Ashwatthama is an Atatai. When someone kills you in your sleep, he is considered to be an Atatai. Not just that, he takes away those skulls as proof to Duryodhan stating that, hey, I've killed Pandavas. And when Duryodhan touches the skull, he blasts out on Ashwatthama stating, you haven't killed Pandavas, you have killed the future of Pandavas, who were supposedly the ones who would also give Anjali, do Shraddha, do Tarpan for us in the future. Because we are not left with any kids. They were probably the only ones, we were kakas for them, technically speaking. And they were the ones who would have given us Anjali. Because Duryodhan already knows he has killed Abhimanyu. So Ghatotkacha is out, Abhimanyu is out, and now these 5 kids of Draupadi are also out. Draupadi, generally, who doesn't cry, lands up crying in this situation. Not because she lost the children, but because these children were not even given the sanskar to walk on the path individually. That means they haven't got the Janoi yet. So imagine the age that they would have been in. Probably under 8. So on one side, Draupadi is crying. On the other side, Arjun is in a dilemma. Can you guess what could the dilemma be? Because he is Guru Bhai. Do you know what's a Guru Bhai? When you share the same Guru, that person is called Guru Bhai. So he is Guru's son. Ashwatthama. So Ashwatthama on one side is Guru's son, on the other side is Draupadi who's crying. And guess who comes into the picture? And do you think Bhagavan is going to solve the problem? Bhagavan is not going to solve the problem. Bhagavan is going to question him. How are you going to solve this problem? See, Bhagavan has given Gita to Arjun. And Bhagavan is going to test the Gita, whether have you understood the Gita or not. Bhagavan is like, Khatam kar do. Finish him off. Arjun is like, not right now. I have studied Gita under you. I know you are testing me right now. So, on one side, Brahman should not be killed. On the other side, he is deserved to be killed. What would you do in this situation? So, Arjun is in a dilemma. Arjun realizes, let's come up with a solution. What is equivalent to death for a Brahman, do you know? What is an equivalent situation for a Brahman to death?
1,000 cows we should give.
No. What I'm saying is, what is equivalent to death for a Brahman?
Taking his
When
knowledge
son
away.
dies before the father.
Taking away the knowledge, the jnana. Or a student saying that you're not my guru.
Bearable. Vedas have been visionary enough stating that your Shishyas won't come to you back. Bearable. Ask them how many times they have visited their gurus. Ask me how many times have I visited my guru. After a stage, we just can't. Even if Shikshavalli tells, ensure that you meet your guru. After a stage, one Shishya is gone. So Ved is quite open about it. Insult. Insult is equivalent to death for Brahmins. And that's what Ashwatthama faces. Ashwatthama is insulted. Ashwatthama happens to have a money on his head. Arjun just pulls that out, makes him extremely ugly, and leaves him for wandering now. And Ashwatthama now is in a lot of pain. He throws a Brahmastra. On the other side, Arjun throws a Brahmastra. Bhagavan is like, if both of you will collide, are you expecting a Hiroshima and Nagasaki to happen right now? Because one Brahmastra is equivalent to 12 suns. One sun multiplied by 12 is equal to one Brahmastra. Two Brahmastras colliding against each other, the universe ceased to exist. Bhagavan gave enough buddhi to Arjuna, and at that point of time, Arjuna ensured that he safeguarded, but the Brahmastra retracted, and apparently Draupadi was the one to tell Arjuna, don't kill him. He's your guru brother, you can't kill him. Now look at the compassion of this woman. Children are killed, yet she's guiding Arjuna to do the right thing. We need such women in life. Who is standing you while doing dharma. Finding women to stand with you in adharma is easy. Finding women to stand with you in dharma is extremely difficult. And just to make you remember, dharma patni, not adharma patni. Patis don't have the title of dharma pati. Patnis have the title of dharma patni. Are you with me till here?
Yes.
Fantastic. Ashwatthama was yet satisfied. In our Sanskrit language, it is said, fire an enemy, never leave them. They can bounce back. Ashwatthama did bounce back. Ashwatthama charged one more Brahmastra. And this time the target was not Arjuna. Do you know who the target was? Daughter-in-law and the womb. Uttara, Abhimanyu's wife. And the small soul which was there inside, who soon to happen is going to be known as Parikshit. Now, anyone who's going to expect baby in the future, or probably if you plan the baby, this is one stuti that you all can do. Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam twadbhayam pashye yatra mrityuhu parasparam. If you recite this particular shlok while you are expecting, and specifically the mother, it is considered to be a protection towards the womb. And this is the same stuti that Uttara does in order to save the soul, in order to save the baby that is there in the body. And Bhagavan is the one who enters Uttara's body and eventually protects Parikshit, which Katha will be spoken about in some time from now. But I'm going to now introduce you to one character of Mahabharat and Śrīmad Bhagwat G, who has asked for a lot of sorrow in order to remember Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And she is none other Kunti. Since, you have been a very nice audience, you have been listening to Śrīmad Bhagwat Ji nicely, and you have been participative in reciting the shlok. I want you to recite all of this with me. Krishnaya Vasudevaya. It's not Hare Paramatma ne વાંચો જરા. રૂકી જાઓ, શાંતિ રાખો. દશમા સ્કંદનો શ્લોક હમણાં ક્યાં લાવો છો? Hold your horses. કૃષ્ણાય વાસુદેવાય દેવકી નંદનાય ચ નંદગોપકુમારાય ગોવિંદાય નમો નમઃ. Arjun ji does the first stuti of Bhagavan, Krishna Krishna Mahabhaga Bhaktanava Bhayankaraha. That's the first place where Bhagavan's stuti starts. Uttara ji happens to be the second person who does the stuti of Bhagavan. Kunti ji happens to be the third person who does stuti of Bhagavan. If you realize Vasudevaya, the same word which was used earlier in the previous shlok when we recited it together, right? How is Bhagavan Shri Krishna Nanda Gopa Kumar? Nandarai ji, who is the Gopa of Vrindavan, he is the son of him. Kumaraya. Govindaya, someone who is loved by the cows, someone who is the controller of our senses, is Govinda. What are we doing? Namaha Namaha, bowing down again and again. Now, you might have yesterday heard the word Kamal, Charan Kamal, Kara Kamal, Mukha Kamal. The Kamal word originally associated with Bhagavan is because even Draupadi ji has done one stuti of Bhagavan where she says, Namaha Pankaj Nabhaya. Pankaj refers to lotus. Now tell me one thing, what came out of Vishnu's navel? And in that lotus, who was there? Brahmaji. So if you realize, Pankaja is coming out of the navel of Bhagavan Vishnu. So Pankaj by itself has correlation. Pankaja Netraya. How are Bhagavan's eyes? You take a petal of lotus, that's exactly how Bhagavan's eyes are. Along with Kunti ji, there is one more Bhagavan's devotee who is, let me put it this way, who is lying on the bed of arrows. Sleeping is not the right word. Lying is the right word. Like if you take it in the literal sense of Gujarati, padya chhe. London Bridge is falling down, falling down. So he's lying down, and that is none other Bhishma Pitama. And Bhishma Pitama eventually recites the stuti of Bhagavan. The context was that there was a Dharma related question, and Bhagavan suggested that why don't we go to Bhishma Pitama to seek some answers. And that's where they recited Iti Mati Rupa Kalpita Vitrushna Bhagavati Satvata Pungave Vibhumni Sasukam Upagate Kvachit Vihartum Prakriti Mupe Yushiyat Bhava Pravaha. Before you surrender anything, I think one of the most important things you need to surrender is your mati. Intellect. You surrender your intellect first. And this is the message that we need to take from Bhishma Pitama. Bhishma Pitama has understood that his time has come closer. Sankranti, Makar Sankranti, that's the day when Bhishma Pitama is considered to be leaving his own body. Why? Because he was blessed with something called as Ichha Mrityu. Ichha Mrityu refers to I have my own control of when I exit my body. Now, how is Bhagavan Shri Krishna? He is self-satisfied. He is Satvata himself. He is not going to be pleased by materialistic pleasures. He is transcendental by himself. And despite he is going to be pleased by transcendental behavior, this entire materialistic world is also which is made from him and by him. We are supposed to offer our intellect to Bhagavan, so that Bhagavan takes control of our intellect and makes us do things. If you realize today you recited a shlok, Buddhi Preraka Krishnasya Pada Padmam Prasidatu. Buddhi Preraka Krishnasya. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is the inspiration of my buddhi. Same thing. If he guides, I can understand things. Yesterday, I had asked you, how do you perceive Bhagavan? You had given me certain answers. Do you remember those answers?
Yeah.
Friend, Shushu Kidalu Pachi, Protector, Pachi, Savior, Pachi. શું જમ્યું યાદ નહીં થયું હતી કાલની કથાને થોડી યાદ રહેવાનું.
I think the one that we did say is like perceive him as a child.
હા, perceive him as a child was the main area of concern that we didn't mention. Fair. One thing I'll say about Bhishma Pitama. Bhishma Pitama is one such divine soul for which Bhagavan kinda broke his vow by picking up that one huge wheel in the moment of spur where Bhagavan wanted to attack Bhishma. So many arrows are coming left, right and center. Bhagavan is like, let me just do it. Arjuna is trying to stop Bhagavan. And how is this Bhagavan? This very much Bhagavan is also the one who takes care of the horses, by the way. He's not a mere charioteer. He's not just one who's controlling the chariot. He also ensures that he's taking care of the horses. As much as people give credit to the Hanumanji who's sitting on the Dwaja of Arjun's Ratha, had Bhagavan not been there in that Rath, it would have been a problematic situation, because in the description of Mahabharat, what I've heard from Shastriji is that Bhagavan asked Arjun to get down first and he gets down later on. And the minute he gets down, blast. So much attack had happened on that Rath. And mind you, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is quite aware. He knows how to navigate between the war. From reaching to one location to the other, he's an expert rider. He ensures that Arjun is reaching to his destination in no matter of time. Bhagavan is an amazing navigator. Bhishma is extolling Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And now that the war is over, kingdom is of Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir has no enemy. He is not disturbed by any mental agonies, diseases, excessive heat or cold. The beauty about Yudhishthir's kingdom, there is appropriate rainfall as much as it is expected. Unlike the rains that you guys had to face certain time ago. How many of you lost your vehicles? Or had to run through insurances? Achha, your people seems to be not affected. Good for you, happy for you. भगवान भलू करे शरुआत माराथी करे. Yogesh Kaka is giving good indications. Nice. Happy to hear that. I was speaking in some other context, but ठीक है, तुम्हारी आज्ञा शिरोधारी. What I'm trying to talk over here, Yudhishthir's kingdom was such that, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but yagnas do contribute to rains. There's a scientific evidence research done by German universities and even Indian universities that the format of yagna that you do can create such environmental scenarios where the rains can happen. And if you take a perspective of the Sangeeta Shastra, if the person sings Rag Malhar in the right way, then Malhar can ensure that the rains happen. One of the reasons why in our Sampradaya, in Pushti Sampradaya, we land up singing Rag Malhar just before on the day of Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra is the day when Malhar steps in. Malhar is then sung for 15 days continuously, embarking that the rains are now going to come. You might have heard of that Amazon Prime series, Garaja Garaja Aaj Megha, Ganana Ganana Chayori. Have you heard of it or not? Yes. If you haven't, it's a personal recommendation, do hear it out. It's a beautiful composition in Rag Malhar. You will literally feel goosebumps and ensure you play it just when the rainy season is about to arrive. Music is therapy. Music is sure therapy. So coming back to the point where rains are controlled, yes, rains were appropriate enough in Yudhishthir's time. And see, we are humans who have gone over and above to hamper our own environment. And now we are bound by that Paris climate agreement to which certain countries contribute, certain don't. And till that extent that I even know, Oman and UAE were the two countries who even moved the glacier to ensure that the water can be taken from the glacier. And I think you all have systems to even purify your water to make it quite neutralize and repurpose it as well. I wish that systems get installed in India soon. But nevertheless, Yudhishthir had a very environmental friendly kingdom. There were no extreme calamities during his tenure and it worked out in his favor. And as a Raja, you are supposed to be mentally prepared, physically prepared, and you need to make these facilities available in extreme cases and situations. Now that now that Hastinapur was stable, Bhagwan moves to Dwarka, and all the people are very excited to have people in Dwarka. Reason being, Dwarka people also had a similar sentiments that you all have. The way you created relations with Bhagwan, people of Dwarka also have relations with Bhagwan. You can see some highlighted pointers in red. Tvameva mata taha suratpati pita. Tvam sadgurur. Who are you? You might have heard of this common shlok. Tvameva mata pita tvameva. Tvameva bandhu cha sakha tvameva. Tvameva vidya draminam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. So on those grounds itself, over here, even the Dwarkavasis are saying, hey, you are my mother, you are my father, you are my husband, you are my spiritual master, you are the Guru. And this very same Bhagavan eventually protects Parikshit, who is also going to be known as Vishnu Rat. Vidur, who had gone for the Tirtha Yatra, not mentioning the Vidur story right now, I'll speak about Vidur's story sometime later, but I remember speaking about it. He comes and asks about the family, what is happening in the family, how was the war, after that, what all things are happening. Importance of family values is something that we can understand from Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. Generational trauma requires that one generation to stop what all has happened in the past. It depends who is the one who wants to decide it.
The coach. He teaches me every day.
I am talking to everyone in this room right now. Your unsolvable backlog is not a dump yard for the next generation. Atrocities you went doesn't mean the next generation needs to suffer that. And also the next generation need not take advantage of the affluences that the current generation has. Learn to be humble and without resources as well. Someday you might not get a 5-star treatment in a third world country. What will you do at that time? Beg for the bed that you have? Expect the AC that you live in? Expect the same quality of food that you are having right now? There's a difference being spoiled and being pampered. You can pamper your child as much as you want to. But spoiling them, referring to not being ready in any situation that you are in. Respect is not given mere out of age. Respect is given to the experience that the elders have. You may not agree with them, but yes, certain qualities or certain things have ensured that you have reached till where you have reached. You are respecting that. You might have difference of opinions, there's no doubt in that. Not necessarily every father and son will align every now and then. Till that extent that Vasudeva Ji, who had Bhagavan Shri Krishna as a son, you will realize when we reach the Skand 10, despite having Bhagavan Shri Krishna as a son, Vasudeva Ji wants to do a yagna. Are yagna purush tamara ઘરમાં છે ને તમારે યજ્ઞ કરવા જવું છે. And remember one thing, in places where you don't align, it's fine. Voice your opinion and say you're not aligning with this. But a family can only glue together provided they are ready to adjust, they are ready to compromise, and with time, they are also comfortable in changing certain ideologies. For example, we were discussing yesterday about how drinking water was being brought to Dubai and how hard water was being utilized for washing of clothes and etc. I think Bhatiyas very well know the obsession of people they had for kuwe ka pani back in the days.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Kuwe ka pani was the thing in Mumbai and in Pushtimargiya houses. Till that extent that people were like, "Ah, pani nahi ho to seva nahi thai." I think that concept in 21st century in 2025 is obsolete. Till that extent, one of my very close friend had a kuwa in his house, had a well in his house. It started giving stale water. They had to quit that kuwa. This is where the two generations have to align. I can go on and on and on family values, but I'm moving to the next topic. Vidurji's suggestion leads to Dhritarashtra and Gandhari to prepare for exile. What is preparation for the exile? Dhritarashtra is going to be one who needs mukti, and after his mukti only is when Pandav's mukti will happen. And Vidur is the one who's giving a suggestion, please move on from this house. Not sure if you're aware of this, but there's a tale and a story. Dhritarashtra had so much anger in him that when Bhimsen comes in front of him, when he tries to hug him, Bhagavan is like, I'm not going to let you go right now. Radha put a statue in front of him, and Dhritarashtra was mighty, by the way. He was very powerful. His anger ensured that the statue broke down. The metal statue broke down. And Bhimsen be like, bachi ki baat hai wo. Bhimsen is no Vikra. He is extremely Vikral, by the way. Imagine who killed all the Kauravas? You think Arjun killed? Arjun didn't kill Kauravas. The 99 sons of Dhritarashtra were actually killed by one person, Bhimsen. You might know Bhikshu of WWF. Try to know Bhimsen of Mahabharat. It's easy to find wrestling championships. Try to read Mahabharat once in English. You'll find enough evidence of how Bhimsen was. Yudhishthir eventually starts observing signs and symbols of something that we call as Apshukan. I'm not talking about Kali Billi Rasta Kaat Gayi. There are signs and symbols where things are not going in the right direction. This is a hint for Yudhishthir that it's time for them to leave the kingdom, hand it over to the next generation and move forward. In the meanwhile, Arjun remembers all the divine activities and all the grace that he got because of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. If you remember one of those incidences where Arjun had to focus on the eye of the, not bird, over here it's fish. Bird was during Dronacharya's time. Here he has to look down in the water and then aim upwards and then achieve Draupadi. Now look at the grace of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Water can be wavy. It can have waves in it. It's due to the grace of Bhagavan Shri Krishna that the water was still. Bhagavan's grace made sure that he could eat the bullseye. In this case, fish's eye. And Bhagavan's grace made sure that he got a wife like Draupadi. Even Arjun understands that, hey, I cannot do this. And Arjun had this realization. He was the one who could control the Gandiv and destroy so many warriors. The minute he goes to fight against the Vrishnis, he's not being able to. And some of these Vrishnis got even stolen later on. He couldn't save a lot of Vrishni wives. This is a situation that comes in Mahabharat. Bhagavan Shri Krishna remembers the blessing, stating that I had the fiddle in the middle of Mahabharat, and Bhagavan was the one who gave me motivation at that given point of time. Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam. Gita refers to something that is sung. Bhagavan recited an entire Gita for me and ensured all my questions were answered. He was the one who was running away first, and he ensured that Bhagavan eventually motivates him, ensures that he stands up and starts fighting. Moving forward, Parikshit is the one who's given the kingship. And here's where one of my favorite topic about the dog is going to come into the picture. There are 2-3 granths which talk about which animals can be in the house and not in the house. Dharmaraj Yudhishthir did the right thing because he said that this dog has been with me, so he should also get the entry. Over there, Dharma is taking the form of a dog and is guiding and tagging along Dharmaraj. Yamraj is taking the form of the dog over there. Now, if you read the Shastra, there is a difference between Aranya Sanskriti and Gramin Sanskriti. Gramin Sanskriti refers to the Sanskriti of a village, Sanskriti of a home. Aranya Sanskriti refers to the Sanskriti of a forest. Dog is considered to be Grama Simha. Grama Simha refers to the lion of the village. Tell me one thing, where does the lion be confined? To a home or to an open area? To an open area. Primarily, that means that animal is supposed to be outside of the house. Now, whatever I'm speaking right now, I'm respecting your sentiments, but my job is to quote the Shastra right now. So if it goes against your ideology, Jai Ram Ji ki. Second, the intake, the food intake that the dog has, the cats have, the snakes have, primarily they are not friendly for a house. One of the reasons why they were outside the house. Third, Shastra has zero objection, they not coming inside the house but staying outside the house and you taking care of them with compassion. On an extreme grounds, they even say that you are supposed to take a bath after touching the dog. There are no denials in that. Shastra is pretty clear about it. And just visualize it, hairs would fall. If our hairs fall down, animals' hair are definitely going to fall down. Because the ahar is non-vegetarian, one of the primary reasons why they are not inside the house, and they are at the house ka chaukat. Do you know what's a chaukat? Door. The door. Primarily, this particular animal is considered to be impure, and one of the reasons why Dharma doesn't allow it to be in the house and is supposed to be outside the house. It's just like tame ghare anda no lavo. Something on the similar grounds. Am I against dogs? No. Am I against they being pets in the vicinity of the house? No. Am I against you showing compassion against them? No. પાડવી છે તો ગાયને પાડો ને પહેલા. અચ્છા, now argument comes. ઘરમાં ગાય પાડવા જેવી સિચ્યુએશન છે નહીં. Have you taken enough efforts to ensure that you have adopted a cow in a gaushala, which might be in India? Are you in regular touch with the person who's taking care of it or not? Become a mata-friendly person, human being first. So these are my thoughts against it. And on an extreme grounds, if you want to read, there are 2-3 scriptures called as Dravya Shuddhika. You can read the translation of Dravya Shuddhika in Gujarati and Hindi. It states a certain kind of animals who are supposed to be outside the house because of the food intake that they have, the mess that they create in the house, and the kind of dirt they carry. I mean, your Casper is still cute. Not all other dogs are. One of them being Shwan, that's the dog. Manjari, if I'm not wrong, that's a cat. Then there is a pig. There's a snake. All of these are not supposed to be in the house. They're supposed to be outside the house. And the fifth is not an animal, but it's called Chandal. Do you know what's a Chandal? Don't know what's a Chandal? Please take that as a homework and come back to me tomorrow. Google Chandal and get back to me tomorrow. Google it. Understand the form of Chandal and get back to me.
Somebody take care of the radio phones.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Saptarishi Ashram. So that concludes my point of dog. You have counterpointers. I'm more than happy to take it after the Katha. Happy to have a discussion on it. Please go ahead.
So you said dogs because obviously they consume stuff also.
Yeah. Yeah.
What humans that consume
Not a good argument. Not a good argument.
So the dog.
Sattva requires sattva. Sattvic things require sattvic things. You cannot claim to be spiritual by eating meat. Sorry. It's a double standard. On one side, you want to kill people and then consume and then claim to be spiritual. Kantodano shak possible and that.
પણ તો પછી સેવા કેવી રીતે કરવી? So ન ખાઈને.
Of course. Do the upvas, get purified, then do it.
અચ્છા તો પછી ખાવાય.
ના એવું કીધું જ નથી કે પછી ખવાય. If you, okay, let me put it this way. Alcohol consumption, I think Krucha Vrat, there is a Krucha Vrat. It requires you to consume only certain elements for certain days. And after that, your Shuddhi is supposed to be considered. For example, only Jav is supposed to be consumed for a certain days. So you have to live only on Jav and Gaumutra. To eat and drink. Jav and Gaumutra. A combination of that for a certain days. Once you do that, you are considered to be pure enough and then don't consume alcohol. So, avirite, there's a concept called as abhaksha. What does abhaksha mean? Something that you're not supposed to consume. If you end up consuming it, there's a vrat against it. If you do that vrat, only then you're supposed to be considered to be pure enough to do all of these things. One of the reasons why you find Pushtimarga people to be allergic to such things is because we like to maintain the sattvic lifestyle. Understood? Good. Now, you can see over here, what can you see? Oh, no, we went too wide, sorry. Coming back. Do you see a bull, which has only one leg? And do you see a cow? So, this is the conversation between Dharma and cow. Cow is the Bhumi, Dharma is the bull. Bhumi refers to earth. Back in the day, Dharma was having 4 pillars. Satyug had 4, Treta had 3, Dwapar had 2, Kali has 1. Any idea which are those 4 pillars? That's right.
Patience.
Somewhere closer. Whoever said non-violence, you're closer. Closer. Mercy. Daya. These are the 4. Tapaha, austerity. Shaucham, purity. Daya, mercy. Satya, truth. And what happens, so when you have a sense of pride, when you have lust for women, and you have intoxication, these 3 get broken down. It is said in Kalyug, it's either Daya or Satya, which is considered to be the one which is withholding the Kalyug right now. Yeah. So when the 3 legs are broken, why? Because irreligion is being performed. Religion is being performed out of pride. You need to be humble while doing Dharma. You can't be on the cloud 9. No cloud 7, no cloud 9, nothing. Lust shouldn't be a part of your behavior where you are desiring to be with too many people. And last is intoxication. Don't do something that makes you high in either forms. If these 3 are continuously being engaged upon, that means adharma is happening, and Satya, Shaucha and Daya, most of these will get hampered. You will only be land up with truth. So in current age, Rishabh, that is the bull. Bull only had one leg. 3 of them were dismantled. And that was causing pain to Bhumi. That is the cow. And that's why Parikshit comes into the picture and he realizes that there's something called as Kalyug, which is standing. And Kalyug also wanted to be in a place Kalyug also wanted place, because Kali had to step in. If Kali wouldn't step, the downside age wouldn't start. So where do you find Kalyug? You find Kalyug in greed, you find Kali in falsehood, you find Kali in robbery, you find Kali in treachery, you find Kali in misfortune, you find Kali in cheating, you find Kali in quarrel, even in vanity. Till that extent, that's where Kalyug is. See, when I met Mitsubin, I didn't hide the fact that I have a corporate life. I told her, these are the 2 lives that I live, and it somehow has been complementing each other. It doesn't make me insane when I go to do business outside, because my roots make me standing for the truth that I believe in, which is going to be better for the community. And at the same time, it's because of this corporate exposure I have this language. I was a part of Rotaract for about good 8 years. I've been part of corporate for the past 8 years. Put together 16 years of verbal experience has made me, decent enough to at least speak in front of you and speak about Bhagwat Gita. Apart from Thakurji's grace and the family support that I've received, those are also the factors that I'm not going to deny. But at least I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. I've fully told her that these are my 2 lives. I don't do this for commercial reasons. I think that was our initial conversation when we spoke about it. Some people only live a pretentious life, and after a point of time, it doesn't even lead you anywhere. Dambha. Trying to show something that you don't have doesn't lead you anywhere. And these are the adharmas that mount, unfortunately, over you. Eventually, Parikshit gives space to Kalyug. Parikshit gives space to Kalyug in intoxication. Parikshit gives space to Kalyug in greed. In greed in terms of, let's say, wealth that is not yours and you try to loot it, is also one space where Parikshit gives space. So Parikshit allocates certain places for Kalyug and keeps him happy. But that Kalyug somehow affects Parikshit as well. While going for hunting, he becomes thirsty. And in order to seek water, he's testing a rishi, a Brahman. And because he doesn't get a response, he takes up a snake and puts on the head of Brahman. Eventually it falls down. The Brahmin's son gets to know about this and he curses Parikshit, stating that a snake will come and kill you. After 7 days, you will die. Parikshit understands that my end is near. He doesn't even bother about handing over the kingdom. He just renunciates food and goes to the river front of Gangaji. And that's where Shri Shukdev G Maharaj appears for him. And Shukdev Ji Maharaj is requested that will you be the one who will be the one to recite Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji. Parikshit is so blessed because Shukdev Ji doesn't even stay for the duration until when the cow is milked. Milking of the cow at least requires certain minutes, and Shukdev Ji Maharaj doesn't even stably stay there for that much time. Now, who is this Shukdev Ji? You remember the conversation of Vyasa we spoke about? Vyasa Ji has a son called as Shukdev Ji. The story about this Shukdev Ji Maharaj is something like this, that there was a parrot which was listening to Mahadev Ji and Parvati Ji's Katha. Mahadev Ji was narrating Bhagavan's Katha to Parvati Ji and Parvati Ji happened to sleep. So the parrot reciprocates in the voice of Parvati Ji, stating that he could listen to the Katha. After a point of time, Parvati Ji wakes up and realizes that, Mahadev Ji realizes that who was the one who was speaking till now. At that moment, that parrot runs away because the parrot knows if I stay, Mahadev Ji's Trinetra will open and I'll be Bhasmiput at that point of time. He directly flies to Vyasa Ji's wife. And at that time, Vyasa Ji's wife is yawning and the parrot enters the body of Vyasa Ji's wife, stays there for a good amount of 12 years. And now he's grown up. Vedavyas Ji is requesting, please come out. Shukdev Ji Maharaj is stating, I won't come out because the minute I come out, you'll do my Yagnopavit and then you'll expect me to get married. I'd rather stay inside. Vedavyas Ji is assuring Shukdev, I won't do anything like that. Shukdev Ji Maharaj appears. The minute he appears, father gets that Vatsalya Bhav stating, no, I should get you married. Shukdev Ji Maharaj runs away. The way current generation runs away from the topic of marriage. But Shukdev Ji Maharaj comes back because of a shlok that he hears. The trees become a connecting point. Vedavyas Ji is calling for Shukdev Ji. Shukdev Ji is not listening to it. The trees recite a particular shlok which was spoken by Sri Vedavyas Ji. And eventually Shukdev Ji Maharaj returns, studies Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji, and now becomes narrator in front of Parikshit. Parikshit now listens to Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji. People listen to Bhagavad to improve their life. I think Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji needs to be listened in order to manage your death. You want to learn life management? Go read Śrīmad Bhagwat Gita. You want to learn how to improve your death? Go read Śrīmad Bhagavad Ji. The way you have been planning your future, try to plan your end as well. You're not inevitable. Death is evitable. Whatever may be your age. It might be the next second as well, you wouldn't know about it. Prepare for it. And that's how we conclude Skand 1 and we enter Skand 2, which is called as Jnana Leela, Sadhana Leela. And this is where Shukdev Ji Maharaj is going to appreciate the question that Parikshit has raised. Because Parikshit is asking questions not just for himself, but he's asking questions which are going to be beneficial for the humankind. So we'll take Bhagavan's name, we'll do Bhagavan's Jai Jaikar and enter Skanda 2. Shri Govardhan Nath Ki Jai. Since Bhagavan's Leela is going to be sung, and this is the time of Holi, it will be an injustice if I don't listen to Lala Gopala Gulala Hamari. Now what is this Lala Gopala Gulala Hamari? It's a kirtan which is being sung by gopis stating that when you are playing Holi, now please don't put gulal in my eyes. Akhin mein jina daroju. So we listen to a couple of lines of this wonderful kirtan which is sung in Rag Vasant, because this is like when I'm playing with you, Thakurji, I love to play Holi with you. You are master of all the arts. But don't be such a destroyer that when you throw that color in my eyes, I will not be able to see you. I'm playing this game with you so that I can see you. I don't want to stop my visuals, which is going to bother me. So having considered this, it's a very beautiful kirtan. Lal Gopal Gulal Hamari, Aakhin mein jina daroju.
Lal Gopal Gulal Hamari, Akhiyan mein jin daroju. Vadana Chandra नेनच गोरी अंतर जिन पारो लाल गोपाल गावो राग बसंत परस्पर अकपट खेल निवारो जो धर पिचकारी तकने नदीना मारो सब सुखदायक कृष्ण दास को तारो जो गोपाल गुलाल हमारी आखिर डारो हो
They are reciting the rag Vasanta together. They are seeing the play which is happening amongst each other. They are realizing that it's not just the gulal which is being utilized, but even kumkum is being utilized in order to use it in the pichkari. And now they are stating that taki ne na maro ju, यानी आंखें मार, उसकी आंख को एम करो और उस पर पिचकारी मारो. And this particular Leela where Thakurji is playing Holi is so blissful. All the dukha can eradicate. Dukha mochan. Bari drishti niharo. If you continuously observe it, all your dukhs can go away. Who's being blessed? Krishnadas is being blessed. Krishnadas is being taroju. He's being taroffied because of this particular Leela. And such divine Leela is being recited by the Ashtasakhas that apparently Krishnadas Ji's Kirtan was sung earlier as well. We're listening to Krishnadas Ji's Kirtan today as well, like right now as well. Shukdev Ji is appreciating Parikshit's question, and he's stating that the question that you've asked for is not just for you, it's going to help the humanity. The question is about, the entire focus is about how human life is supposed to be and how human life is supposed to be as per Sri Shukdev Ji Maharaj's person. Generally, people don't ask about that ulterior self. They're just stuck with the problems of life. They're just stuck in the attached scenarios, may it be people, may it be body, may it be family, may it be children, may it be wife. And somehow, we never get a chance to think about that higher self. If any time a chord strikes where you're questioning yourself, what am I doing? Why am I here? What's my motto? If such questions are bothering you, you're going in the right direction. There's a very common statement. Apparently, one of my very close friends used to say this. Disha ko bhatakna hi disha ko pana hai. Your bhatakna doesn't mean that you have to go on the wrong lines. Here the concern is you have to find the purpose of why you are here. For at least Pushti Dees, the purpose is very clear that they have to walk on the path of grace and they have to do seva of Thakurji. But while doing that as well, you have to identify newer ways, newer feelings, newer emotions, newer sentiments because of which you can interact with Sri Thakurji. Utilize your speech. Communication is going to be the key for having a good life. And that's one good thing about this duo who are speaking and listening to each other. That is Parikshit Raja and Sri Shukdev Ji Maharaj. A lot of people feel that Katha is one way. Because you've always witnessed Kathas to be one way. If you'll open up Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita, you'll realize that this is not a one-way Katha. It's Parikshit asking questions and Shukdev Ji Maharaj answering questions. I've changed the trend a little, I'll end up asking more questions in comparison to you. It's not because to make you active, but it's for you to be engaged with the topic over here. And I've told you, the environment is quite friendly. You will feel sleepy here. And my voice is so surila, it's much better than Yogini Ben's. Description of the Almighty. A lot of people say, na, patal hai kya nahi hai? Yesterday we were talking about whether hell exists or not. If you remember. We spoke whether hell and heaven are as concepts or not. Right? Patalametasya hi padamulam. Padamulam refers to, pad refers to the feet. Mula refers to probably the bottom side of it. Patal originates from there. This is the same Vibhuti Swarup that you were discussing some time ago, right? That same Virat Swarup has been extolled multiple times in Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita, one of them being in the second skand, first adhyay. Then you might have heard of macro and micro. You might have heard of Hanumanji taking the micro form and the macro form, right? Similarly, even the divine can go as macro as he wants to and as micro as he wants to. Both of those are 100% possible for Bhagavan to do. If you want to achieve him, there might be multiple paths to achieve him. However, Sri Shukdev Ji Maharaj is stating that akama sarva kamova. Akamaha refers to don't have any desires left. Sarva kamoma, if you have all the desires still there. Or even if you desire to have moksha, if moksha is your desire. In either of these cases, all three cases, Tivra Bhakti Yogena. Tivra refers to intensive bhakti. Intensive bhakti is the way forward. Yajet Purushak Param, that means the ultimate reality, that is Bhagavan Shri Krishna, can be achieved by doing Tivra Bhakti. Now, what does Tivra Bhakti refer to? આજે મૂડ છે તો મસ્ત મજાની ભગવાન સાથે હોળી રમી અને કાલે વૈરાગ્ય આવી ગયો, આ કાલથી નથી રમવું. That's not Bhakti Yoga. One day full intensity, did everything in the seva. Next day, Dabaya Nama, bedridden. That's not Tivra Bhakti. The way you show up at the gym on consistent basis to shed weight is the same way you show up at Thakurji Seva no matter what season is. That's Tivra Bhakti. Similarly, Bhagavan is asking about the creation of the universe, and this is where Shukdev Ji Maharaj introduces his discourse, and he starts with something called as a Mangalacharan. Mangalasya acharanam iti Mangalacharan. Whenever you are starting your day, you are supposed to recite certain shloks in order to treat your day as auspicious. So in the start of the day, middle of the day, and the end of the day, you are supposed to recite shloks. Over here, Sri Shukdev Ji Maharaj recites Namah Parasmai Purushaya Bhuyase Sadudbhavasthana Nirodha Leelaya Gruhita Shakti Tritayaya Dehinam Antarbhavaya Nrupalaksha Vartmane. If you remember on the first day, I mentioned to you that Bhagavan does three leelas: creation, maintenance, and destruction. Same leelas have been mentioned over here as well. Bhagavan himself takes the three Shaktis. Gruhita Shakti, Tritayaya. Remember I spoke to you about Tamas, Rajas and Sattvic today in the morning? The same thing is being spoken about Sri Shukdev Ji Maharaj. What are you supposed to do of that divine? Yat Kirtanam. What they just did right now. What are you supposed to do? Yat Smaranam. Yat Smaranam refers to remembering. Yad Vandanam. You doing Dandvat to Bhagavad Ji. You doing Dandvat to Thakurji. Yat Shravanam. You listening about him. And this very same Bhagavan also happens to be the creation of the cosmos. If you read the 5th adhyay of the 2nd skanda, you will realize 5th and the 6th adhyay is where the expansion of the cosmos has been mentioned. Now, what do I mean by expansion of the cosmos? The entire creation, you might have heard of a concept called as Veda Garbha. Do you know what's Veda Garbha? Just bifurcate the two words, Ved and Garbha. What does Garbha mean? Womb. This entire universe is in the celestial womb of Bhagavan. And tell me one thing, are wombs circular or elliptical? I can't answer that question. You'll have to answer that question. So do this homework and get back to me tomorrow. Are garbha circular or elliptical? બેનો ડિફરન્સ ખબર છે ને? સર્કલ, એલિપ્ટિકલ. કાલે મને કહેજો ગોતીને. આમાં તો ડેફિનેટ નો બોલશે લોકો. Think about it. The second skanda is more on the Vedant side. It's more on the philosophy side. So not easy to understand as well. I'm trying to simplify as much as I can for you. The three swarups of Bhagavan. See, the beauty. In order to create, you have to be continuously engrossed, committed. And that's why you need Rajasic energy in it. And Brahmaji is constantly doing something. Shivji requires a trigger. Trigger creates destruction. And destruction cannot happen on a frequent basis. It has to happen once. Whereas an ecosystem of Mrityu is already in place. And one of the reasons why Shivji is also known as Pashupatinath. Pashu just doesn't mean animals over here. Pashu refers to all of us. And then comes that Sattvic Vishnu who is always relaxed. Sattvic doesn't mean lazy. Lazy is actually on the side of tamas. Bhagavan only comes down when there is an extreme problem or extreme situation. Bhagavan's individual leelas have been glorified in the 7th Adhyaya as well. So why does he take an avatar of Kurma? Why does he take an avatar of Varaha? Why does he take an avatar of Kalki? All of these have been mentioned in the Saptam Adhyaya. Parikshit asks a lot of questions, which gives him more clarity about Bhagavan. And then eventually, Brahmaji speaks about how Bhagavad Gita came into existence, how Bhagavad Gita as a text reached to him. And this is where I'll introduce you towards something called as Chatushloki Bhagavat. What is Chatushloki Bhagavat? Chatushloki Bhagavat refers to, there are 7 verses which have been compiled together in 4 compartments, which were given by Bhagavan to Sri Brahmaji, and Brahmaji eventually gives it forward to others. And because of that tradition of this of this Chatushloki Bhagavat, when it reaches to Sri Vedavyas Ji, Vedavyas Ji is being able to see an expanded format of the entire Bhagavat. These 7 shloks behave like a premise and the essence of Śrīmad Bhagavat. And later on, Sri Vedavyas Ji is being able to visualize 18,000 shloks, what we spoke about in the earlier part of the day. Apart from this, there are 10 leelas which have been done by Bhagavan. Sarga, Visarga, Sthan, Poshan, Manvantar, Ishanukatha, Nirodh, Mukti and Ashray. And these 10 leelas are known as Dasha Leela. And this Dasha Leela is something that we spoke about at the start of the day. Shri Krishnam Paramanandam Dasha Leela Yutam Sada. What are these 10 leelas? Sarga Leela refers to creation. And this creation is something ideally we'll do tomorrow. And tomorrow is when we'll technically speak about Yagnavaraha Avatar, which I was supposed to do today. But Thakurji's Ichha was something else. So tomorrow is when we'll start with the concept called as cosmic creation. That means tomorrow I'm going to reveal one of my ace cards, which is on the basis of science. Where's my physics professor? So I'm going to bring a theory on the platter tomorrow for you to compare with what science thinks and how Dharma thinks. So having said this, I'm going to conclude my talk over here for the day. Tomorrow, we are one scan running behind, but don't worry. You might see the Virar local tomorrow. We've been on a Gajagati chal today quite nicely. And I'm going to take further time of yours. But Skanda 3 is what we'll explore tomorrow. the theory of creation, knowledge of time, all of these things are very valuable lessons from our Dharma. So we'll be understanding them tomorrow. And apart from that, in today's session, if you haven't understood something, I'll be more than happy to speak with you personally about it. We'll recite Jai Jaikar, and then Manorathi Parivar can gather for the puja, and you all will do Aarti, and the Ashray Pad will be sung by the Kirtanyas. So let's do Jai Jaikar of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Shri Govardhan Nath ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Dharan ki Jai. The more enthusiasm, the faster Bhagavan will come to you. श्याम सुंदर श्री यमुने महारानी जी की जय, श्री वल्लभाधीश की जय, श्री गोसाई जी परम दयाल की जय, आज के आनंद की जय. Manorathi Parivar kindly grace for the puja. Tanushree Bhatia is requested to pause the broadcast. Are you still feeling